that are new, though I want to break down exactly what Series E is and what this is all about. Okay, Series E is a professional esports open circuit that absolutely anyone can join across 3 different titles. We've got Apex Legends, we've got Halo Infinite, and Guilty Gear Strive. Now, the way it works is players and teams come out, they compete in our open qualifiers, and the best of the best from those open qualifiers make it into Series E. Now, those teams and players will sign a contract, they get drafted by one of our partner brands, they will make a monthly salary, and they get to compete weekly for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, that's every Tuesday night and open night, competing against teams just like they used to be themselves. And then every single Wednesday, they play against some of the best pros in their scene. So if you and your friends want to get in on the action, head over to matcherino.com/ESA to sign up. You can also use ! sign up in Twitch chat right now. And if you have any further questions and need more details, esportsarena.com has you covered. Now, of course, it is Razer Week here, and we're kicking it off once again with some Apex Legends. And when you look at Team Razer, of course, they are on the outside looking in terms of the top 3 picture. They currently sit in 5th place in the standings, but they do have an opportunity to jump into that top 3, but time is running short. Excedrin and Nerf are ahead of them. Those 2 teams only separated by 4 points themselves, and Razer still has some work to do to catch up there, but they need to start tonight to get the ball rolling. Of course, it is their week, so a little extra spotlight on Team Razer, and we'll see what they can do with it. But the biggest focus will be on those other 2 teams that I mentioned, being Nerf and Excedrin. These 2 teams, as I mentioned, incredibly close in the standings, just 4 points separating them, and they are both duking it out for that final spot in the top 3 to be able to hold on to their slot in Series E going into the next season, because if you don't finish top 3, you have to re-qualify. You can make it back in, but you have to do the work, whereas if you finish top 3, you don't have to worry, you don't have to sweat, you can ignore qualifiers and just prepare for the next season. And that is certainly the most interesting battle here at the very tail end of the season. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on all 3 of those teams in particular as the action continues. We'll be getting into the games very, very soon, so don't worry about that. We'll have a couple of great casters on the day as well. My 2 good friends, Why Not and Dia, will be bringing you all of the fun, and I'll be here to break things down in between, so you can look forward to that. But before we jump into the games, of course, as I mentioned already, it is Razer Week, and I do want to give a big shout out to our friends at Razer. They, of course, have been big supporters of us here at Esports Arena and have been on board from the jump with Series E, and we are super thankful for their support. And we do want to remind you, if you want to pick up any Razer products, you need some new peripherals for your setup at home, you can grab them over at walmart.com/Esports Arena. I would highly recommend today, grab a new keyboard. Get this Huntsman V2. You can get the 10 keyless or the full keyboard here. Both, again, available at walmart.com/Esports Arena. So go grab yourself one of those today. It's a perfect, nice little RGB upgrade for your desk setup. It is exactly what you should be looking for. So head over there today. Now, production is going to let me know as soon as we're ready to jump into the games. They'll pop into my ear over here and let me know that we're ready to hand it over to the casters. But I want to know from you folks, who do you have your eyes on here tonight? Of course, I already talked about Razer, Excedrin, and Nerf in that battle for 3rd place, but maybe you have your eyes set on Intel. They've been one of the best teams in Series E over the last 4 weeks. Vizio, they're in 1st place. They have a huge lead, and they came out into the season absolutely gunning. They've, of course, been doing very well in the ALGS Pro League, sitting just outside of the top 10 over there. Or maybe it's Splash. A lot of classic names on that roster trying to make their mark here in the back half of the season. There are reasons to follow and keep an eye on every single Series E squad, or maybe you're a fan of one of the open teams competing tonight. Do want to give a special shout out to one team. Production, I would love to know the name. I don't know what team name they're playing under today, and I know our TOs can let you know, but we do have a team competing tonight that earned their spot by competing at a local esports arena. One of the teams tonight won a 3v3 arenas tournament last week, and with that win, won a spot in open night, which is incredible. Of course, we have esports arena locations all across the country running all kinds of tournaments and events every single week. Of course, we've talked a lot about PvE here on the broadcast over the last week or so. That is a big thing we're doing at the arenas, but it's awesome to see players that go out, compete in our local events or out at our local arenas competing, winning, having a good time, and getting to see them take the next step here. So we'll keep an eye on that squad when we see them in the action tonight. But a big shout out to that team. Of course, going to be an interesting jump going from arenas into Battle Royale with some of the pros, and we'll see just how they stack up against the entire lobby. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. Also looking forward to hearing Dia and Why Not, my boys, back on the cast here today. It's going to be a good time. Tons of energy, tons of hype, a little bit of memes mixed in there. The boys know how to have fun, so it's going to be a very good time. Looking forward to all of the games here tonight. So super thankful for that. But thank you for coming out and joining us here today, everybody. Production, are we just about ready to go? Because I'm itching here. I'm ready to jump into the games. One more time, please. Let's run it. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Pushy on the sticks here today as well. My man, all doing the behind the scenes stuff. The entire production team out there as well. Connie, Ghost, our awesome TOs. It's going to be a fun night. We're kicking it off right now, so let's get it underway. Series E, Apex Legends. Let's go.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E. Series E.
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends.
Series E. Apex Legends starts right now.
And now we're seeing it once again, just like Game 2, slowed down, but Fury won.
Time and time again, and geez, they think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
It gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hacula's going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
I'm muted.
We got why not? Why not? Can we hear you? Can we hear you? Let's go for it one more time. Go ahead, talk. All right, I'm gonna. Yeah. It's okay. We're here. We're almost ready. We're figuring things out on the production end. However, ultimately, what matters is that we're going to be ready for when we get into the game. Because, of course, as was already mentioned, it is open night, and that means that we get a lot more chaos than we normally do on store points. We got to be all excited for that, especially because drops are often hot, and we got new talent making their debut, as Yeso already mentioned. Some of them hailing from your local esports arena, which is super exciting to hear about. If you are new to how open night or really any night functions, we can take a look at the scoring as well and how that'll all go down, because there is prizing available for tonight, but you get that by playing through 6 games, 3 of which will take place on Stormpoint and 3 of which will take place over on World's Edge. Yes, and Wynot's not back yet, so we're gonna hang out. 3 of which take point Stormpoint, 3 of which take point on World's Edge, and if you are unfamiliar with the scoring system as well, 12 points do end up going to our winners, 9 for second, 7 for third, scaling all the way down to 1 point for any team that places between 11th and 15th. My favorite way of getting kills, my favorite of all time, and the one that I expect to be most prevalent today, is that 1 point per kill that Intel specifically have been absolutely dominating in recently. These guys have won even more open nights at this point than Vizio did to start off the season, and it's a wonder that they've done it. I bet they're catching up to Vizio, although they have been pretty close behind. Razer also has been just barely at the heels of Intel for some while, so with the buff of this being their week, maybe they can overtake, I believe. Okie doke. Well, as we've heard from Why Not, or as I've heard from Why Not, we're going to continue. So with the points being distributed in this way, we can also take a look at the teams that are going to be competing for the prize money, $500 today, and all the glory that comes with it. Of course, we've got our partnered squads that you have come to know and love. But also, we've got some very familiar names joining us. I'm actually taking a look across all of these. Some teams I'm getting to see for the first time, as just up until recently, we're getting everybody checked in, everybody off the waiting list if they needed to. I'm surprised to see teams like Lazarus joining us today, although we do know that they are everywhere. But even so, teams like Gas Station Gaming definitely ringing a bell as well. YFP we have seen everywhere throughout the amateur scene, and these guys can definitely bring some spooky, scary skeletons into which is going to be Storm Point first. Now, Storm Point playing out in a very different way than a lot of teams have been used to on World's Edge, and actually, it's been a point of conversation among, I would say, the coaches of Apex Legends recently, especially on Twitter. I know that a lot of people are trying to figure out exactly what the differences in play are, and a lot of pro teams have decided that they've got two different styles when it comes to how to play Stormpoint and how to play World's Edge. World's Edge being a very get-in-zone focused game, where you've got a lot of people that will try and predict off of especially beacon raids on Zone 2 where the game will end up, and I do feel like there's something to be said for that on Storm Point as well. The thing is that holding buildings is not going to be nearly as nice for you there. A lot of the onus when you get to Storm Point does come from being able to commit to a spot, but do it as late as humanly possible. Whether you're in center ring or not, the predictions that you make about what will be God spot later on tend to pay off a lot more than playing a mediocre position for placement.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Storm Point, though, I mean, I feel like that exact playstyle lends to the fact that, you know, there's less third parties. You know, Storm Point is a big, it's a huge map. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if it's my favorite map, in my opinion, but I feel like the way, you know, you can isolate some of these battles where World's Edge, it's wide open. If I hear gunshots from, you know, from literally 1,000 meters north, I can get there, especially with some movement legends, and get involved in those gunfights. Where Storm Point, I feel like things are a little bit more isolated. So, you know what? Maybe it's actually good for the competitive scene to have Storm Point, even though I will say it is far from my favorite map.
all right. We started off with I'm not sure it's my favorite map to far from my favorite map. I like the evolution. However, nicely enough for both of us, we'll be starting off on Home Sweet Home, World's Edge, and it's interesting to see as everybody's already largely found their landing spot, so there isn't actually that much contention going on. Although, as I say that, there is a little bit of action starting to brew in Thermal Station, where the game will eventually take us.
We do see the flatlight and longbow in the crafter as normal, but a purple backpack as well, a little bit of purple helmet action. So not the best as far as the sniper bag or the 4x8. So not sure if we're gonna be crafting that too much, but I will say most of the loot on the ground is gonna be really, really good as we're pulling forward here. Baited. Okay, baited, rocking a little lifeline action. I ain't mad at that. That tells me this team wants to get aggressive. I see Ash and I see lifeline. That team definitely wants to get in people's faces. And the fact that they're dropping Geyser, which usually isn't the best POI to drop in on this map, tells me that they want to rotate quickly and get involved with gunfights right off the rip.
Yeah, I mean, nice thing is that lifeline will give you a little bit more access to better loot as the game goes on, even from suboptimal positions. An underrated part of Lifeline's kit as well is the ability to provide permanent cover in the late game. Now that you've got a Gibby to be able to reset and throw down the bubble, as well as the Lifeline to, I suppose, assist you in other stickier situations, you've got a pretty good core, but one that is largely lacking utility outside of that. So fights for Baited will have to be very fast and furious, as Vizio are attempting to make theirs now. We've got a Pathfinder, a Valkyrie, and a Horizon, so mobility is the name of the game if you were a fan of Vizio, and right now, they are definitely getting mobile right up in your face, finding sites already in staging and looking like they're going to find the end of it very soon.
And I'm really surprised by this Vizio normally rocking that Loba composition, which I'm a big fan of as a Loba main myself, but trading Loba out for a Pathfinder and a Horizon. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they go about this. Hemlock in hands, they're wiping out quick as that squad goes down, and some KP early being earned here by Vizio. Don't need to buy Vizio TV to see that one, but it would be a lot clearer if you did so.
Exactly, you'd be able to really break down the gameplay, be like, dang, I wish I could do that myself, because I certainly do wish that I looked as good as the Vizio squad do right now, and a large part of this does have to do with their experience, right? But we take a look at their composition. You talked about how Pathfinder isn't that common. I think they're trying to follow in Intel's footsteps right now after picking up a massive amount of kills. I believe it was 2-3 weeks ago. Intel wowed us all, and now Vizio are trying to do that themselves. Already have 3 KP off the back, but was a very excellent early start for them. Playing the low ground inside staging, where Zone will continue to funnel teams into them. Might just get things looking a little bit better. Asura's over here, though, in a fight over by Fragment. Let's see who it's with.
And you know, this is so reliable right here. Caustic, Gibby, and Valkyrie. This composition was made very popular. The ultimate defensive legend in Caustic did receive a little bit of a nerf, but if used right, he can definitely provide value to your team. Exactly what they're doing right now. They're going to be cutting off any angles coming up towards the south side of the map. Anybody that tries to go towards this choke is going to have to go through them. It's either going to be early KP or them hitting the lobby earlier than expected it, but that bow looking good in the hands of our Caustic player, and we're going to switch on board with Manksta playing Valkyrie, 210 points away from upgrading that blue into a nice purple.
I'm glad that we ended up swapping out the wingman for the Mozam as well, using 2 of the heavy guns. Well, fun. Would have made things a little bit difficult. I wouldn't actually mind seeing Asuras rotate out of here as well, because though they're trying to play height, it's a very open area that they find themselves in, and the chance of this converting into KP with no gap close available on the squad, already several ultimates used to try and siege out the low ground, is pretty, well, low, shall I say.
Well, we're going to switch gears over towards Razer. I mean, this is the team of the week right here. It is Razer week, so I want to see Razer come out with a big win. We're already seeing them have a nice little squad wipe. Make sure they get looted up as they're continuing to take a longer route to get towards this early zone. Looks like they're comfortable playing the edge of zone, and then they're going to try to make their way in, as opposed to, like, you know, a defensive team that's involving a Caustic who wants to try to get in early to these zones and set up as early as possible. Razer it looks like they feel comfortable playing that edge, and with Wraith on your team, you know you want to get that portal, get into the action, get out if necessary. We're going to see what Razer do. Batteries start to fall. Share a little bit of sharing. Hey, you got to share. You got to share with Apex. Come on.
It's true. Well, my teammates are always surprised when I drop them a bat, but I guess by the same token, I'm also surprised because it's not too often that you encounter a whole lot of teamwork. You know, I'd rather keep that extra 100 HP to myself, and for good reason. For good reason, I will say. Intel, however, shelling out the damage with a nicely placed nade, still not finding any damage. Fearless will nonetheless be able to push in alongside the rest of the squad. Mooney and Slurpee buying him a lot of space on the Wraith Gibraltar, and now finding the very first knock onto Nerf as well. So a battle of the partnered squads ends up at least starting to turn in Intel's favor. Finding Flesh once again. Fearless really is living up to the name, as we say so often on the broadcast. Now taking a moment to bat. Let's see if they can finish off Nerf.
That black hole was a bit of a nuisance, but no nades to follow. But the R301 shots are ripping beautifully coming in, and like that's gonna be 2 going down quickly. We have a new kill leader, ladies and gentlemen. It's Intel Fearless. No wonder why this team is always at the top of the leaderboards. Not only was that fight quick, but it was also just extremely efficient. Quickly getting rid of one team and now ready for the third-party situation, which seems to be coming in as shots are starting to ring out. And here comes a Valkyrie Q for good measure.
Now, launch site was empty at the start of the game, so Intel are walking into what is a very well-looted up squad, or at least you would assume, but it looks like YFP, even with that, couldn't sustain through the multi-fire of Intel. The team shooting was just a little bit too good. Now Adore, the only thing between a 2-man and potential Doom. Dome expiring to the Slurpee on the flank, and it is already a done deal as Mooney slides in, claims 2 more kills, and as round 1 closes behind them, so do the doors of another team's dreams.
Let me tell you, with the nerf to the Eva, the Peacekeeper has really found a home as probably my favorite shotgun to use in this meta. Sometimes it's for that 99 like you saw, and I'm not gonna lie, the Mastiff, I've been trying to use it, but sometimes I've been getting a nice little 9, and that ain't gonna do it in a 1v1 gunfight. Give me a Peacekeeper all day, every day. It hits different, and you even have a little bit of a hop-up to go along with it, what looks like Excedrin looking to hop into some action. They got the intel that they need. They have a team right next to them. They have an Ashe and a Wraith composition, so that's very aggressive in my opinion. I would not be surprised if they push early. Nade starting to fly as a team literally right under them.
My God, how many nades are they gonna throw? How many do they even have right now? Excedrin could very well drop, but are playing this very respectfully. And in a Harvester, you can understand why. Given that we saw some teams rotating through here earlier, they know as well as we do that it could be Vizio below them. They don't have that scouting yet. We know that it's not, though, because there's Gibraltar on that team. There's no Gibraltar on Vizio.
I've never seen anybody use like the HCOG angle through those tubes right there with the wingman. That was really well done. As Cedric's still taking some heavy damage. They already lost their Wraith. It looks like they've lost their Gibby as well. Lead goes down. Lazarus having the height advantage, but here comes the EMP. So another squad coming in, but luckily taking down the drone before it gets any value. Lazarus Dank having the Havoc in hands, wants to go in for a cleanup. It's really starting to rip.
Gold Havoc, no less. Absolute decimation. Give me this any day of the week. With a very effective third party. Lazarus have cleaned up 2 kills, but there we go. As Lee Falls finally have eliminated Excedrin, or at least I would believe. They do still have some other squads sitting right next door to them, though, and this is where the professional, I would say, pacing is going to be most important. Intel, that pacing as well, maybe pushing the envelope a little.
Ooh, Intel really dictating the pace in this gunfight. Wingman in hands, Fearless getting right into the face of his opponents. Easy knock for 1. And it looks like this Wraith trying to be creative with the movement, but Mahoney not having any part of that Peacekeeper in hands. Really laying down. Oh my gosh, and the Spitfire is going to take that player out. Easy done by Intel, adding yet another to the lobby. 14 squads remaining, and Ironic is in a gunfight as well, so the Black Hole's going to come in. So will the nades.
There's something about Intel today has just been built different. They seem to be beaming on every single level, but as we tune back into Ironic, it looks like they are as well, whittling us down to 13 squads just at the end of round 2 with plenty of time to reset. They're another team that is running that horizon, or at least was, because Vizio have gone, hey, there can only be one of us here. Let's see who it is, as I suspect that Vizio are going to find themselves a very nice push, given they opened up with a knock.
On board now, Vizio. Looks like there was a wipe in place here, so Vizio playing really well, bringing us down to 13 squads. And like I said, the team that formerly ran a bit of a Loba action now introducing Horizon, and clearly it's working out for them. That Horizon ult combined with some nades can do absolute damage, especially when you're entry pushing an enemy team and trying to make them uncomfortable as you're closing the gap on them. But it looks like they have a new challenger that's appearing here over toward the north side. They're gonna have to deal with this team on landslide as they want to keep this positioning.
Yeah, this is especially good because Ring is going to force squads into, especially if they are running Valkyrie less. Intel, however, being pushed away themselves. Nice Gibraltar bubble buys them a little bit of time away from that caustic ult, so it does cancel any gas that would have otherwise been inside of it. Intel do get the chance to back away and did get some nice opening damage as well, so pushing themselves a little bit closer to those red shields. They're feeling good, if not great just yet.
Valkyrie, Wraith, and Gibby composition. So again, a movement very important here on World's Edge. And I feel like every squad is running a Gibby at this point. If you're not running a Gibby, I don't know what you're doing, because end games, you need that ultimate bombardment. You need that bubble to create space or to get out of a sticky situation, even to counter another Gibby's ult. So much value that you can get out of a Gibby here. AOG laying down the law with the Rampage. Gonna have to force me take a battery here, but I love any composition involving a crypto. I think that EMP has tons of value. I think the amount of intel that you can get when trying to create these pushes and try to map out your routes on the fly can be absolutely invaluable when it comes to running a crypto. I feel like every team should have a crypto.
It's so good in terms of being able to disrupt endgames as well. When you mentioned moments ago that it is crucial that you have a Gibraltar, the more Gibraltars there are, the more value Crypto ultimately gets because of his ability to interrupt those bubbles. Speaking of interruptions, though, Vizio, I think quite rudely interrupting us by cleaning up a few more kills on the height. They've got absolutely nothing to worry about, and if you're jumping onto Fury, you have got to be worried about him turning it around on you. Now following through the portal, Fury does not initially find the knock, has to worry about Phony on the low ground, but remember, Vizio is also staving off a third party right now. With 10 seconds left on the gravity lift, they're going to go for the res on the ground.
Goldback res coming in though, so half health, half shields for one player. Meanwhile, Intel getting into a gate with another one. Maximum value out of those card shots, hitting 2 for 1s. Beautifully placed, and we have another kill leader. This time it's gonna be Slurp EG coming out with the rate, making big plays, 6 kills on the board, and even 5 assists to go along with it. Intel are running house.
I mean, forgive me for asking, but are Intel all on controller or what? Because I haven't seen them miss a shot today. Every time we are tuning in on any of them, it's just straight beams. It doesn't look like there's any counterplay. They have been positioning really well, pushing as a team, and Intel may just be taking yet another week of our open night if no one can stand in their way.
What's crazy to me is that, round 3 Hill's closing. We're already down to 9 squads. Lots of times with this tournament play, the games are a lot slower, but Intel playing this like it's a pubs, let alone not even a ranked match, playing this like this is a pubs right now with how aggressive they're being, but clearly it's working for them. I can't wait to see the points on the leaderboard. Valkyrie Q coming in, trying to get that early damage and even using the ult to lay down the early KP. Excedrin was eliminated, bringing us down to 8 squads remaining, and Intel still one of them.
It feels bad because Excedrin actually did really well to recover from what was a disastrous moment from them inside Harvester, rezzing all 3 back to full HP, back with items and everything, but the Intel siege up top is just looking like the most dominant thing right now. I don't know if anybody can stand in its way. Lazarus, however, is starting to accumulate some momentum in the kill feed. It does speak volumes that we've got Fearless sitting with 5 kills in a competitive lobby and isn't our kill leader right now, though.
Yeah, I think it's still Slurpee. Yeah, I mean, last time we saw with 6 kills, I believe he was the kill leader. There's no way someone else has 7 on the board. I think 6 is going to be the one to beat. And on top of that, he had 5 assists, so the man's really doing work as far as damage. And a new challenger has appeared here as another one decided to land on Intel. Haven't you heard? Didn't you get CC on the email? Intel are too strong. You do not want to land on them.
No, it is too much at this point. Jumping down to the low ground, Mooney's got nothing to worry about. They still have got the shield available, and it was just a 2-man that landed in this area. So Fearless continues on the rampage, using the movement that only this Valkyrie can, and hunting down the last member. I think you got it just around the corner. Willingly does end up falling, and now we're down to our top 6, with Vizio still guarding the edge of Train Tunnel, as they have been for what seems like the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, but as far as this is really important because round 4 Hill's gonna be closing in less than 20 seconds. This team is forced to engage on Vizio, and Vizio is just literally gatekeeping this cave, so they're gonna have to overextend. They're gonna have to play into a few shots coming out on Vizio. This is a perfect bait coming out of them. They even have some armor swap set up. This is Vizio's battle to lose. There's no way they do not come out on top unless Intel wanted to get involved, introducing themselves to Vizio. So now Vizio is the meat in this sandwich that they were just gatekeeping that team off of, and round 4 Hill is rapidly closing in.
Just Fearless for the moment, but he's bought you enough time, right? With Mooney and Slurpee on one angle, Fearless on another. The pressure is on, and Vizio are definitely feeling it. I like the move from Intel, however, to reposition up towards this hill, because in endgame, this is likely going to be God's spot. Whether Vizio gets another 3 points or not really isn't your business, because you can secure yourself way more by positioning in the endgame.
6 squads remain. The game's starting to slow down just a bit, but meanwhile, everybody, it looks like a team wanting Lazarus position. Cheesebird having a perfect avenue. Caustic gas coming in, so the door was blown down, but the caustic gas will be a bit of a line of defense. Second one coming in as that team is being held out here, but finally Lazarus dropping the bubble. They want to close the distance. R99 being reloaded and about to be put to work. The first down is going to come in. The second one does as well. So easy done by Lazarus. Just like that, we're down to 5 squads.
That's the competitive coordination that we get the treat of witnessing over here on Series E, is these teams that as soon as they get a knock, throw down that KP bubble just like this. Intel now feeling like it's their game, and Lazarus, though they fought honorably, though they got a knock on Intel, couldn't do enough to keep themselves alive.
And somehow Vizio is still alive in this situation. I mean, this was the team that was once gatekeeping a team out towards that closing round 4 Hill. They ended up being third-partied by Intel, but they've still been able to keep their lives. The question is for how long, because they weren't in the best of position. But this is Intel here, so Intel really giving up on that battle against Vizio. Like you were saying before, they could have net themselves 3 easy KP, but as far as they're concerned, they want the win. They're playing for the long range. They're playing for this early position here, and now Vizio have a chance to come out alive. We're going into the final 3 squads, and no, this is not a typo. Your eyes do not deceive you. Slurp has 11 kills and 7 assists at the moment.
This is disgusting performances from Intel right now, and with this added to what is a potential win in the making, they could just take the entire game. Vizio, in a moment of panic, are taking to the skies, trying to find themselves God spot in ring, but with Gas Station Gaming right below, Intel up on the height, things are going to be very difficult for anybody trying to challenge them. This is the God spot for a reason.
Well, Intel having all the height advantage in that God spot that you were referring to before. Vizio do find a home, and they're going to try to play literally right under them and try to limit the amount of angles that Intel have on them. But, I mean, Intel, they're sitting on top of the map. Round 5 hills going to be closing in. This is not good for anybody that isn't named Intel at the moment. It almost like we need a gentleman's agreement to try to get Intel out of this God spot, because they're literally sitting and looking down on their opponents. It's only a matter of time before they wipe out one. Jet trying to get involved. Rambo introducing himself as well. No cover whatsoever. I bet they wish they had a Bangalore or something to try to create some kind of movement as they move forward onto Intel.
Gas Station Gaming are not playing for second. Nobody is. It is all about the win in this first game of the open night. Who will be able to take it away? Slurpee, about to hit 3K on stream right now, does turn around and recognize that there are some folks huddling up right below him as well. 3 nice shots on the wingman, putting a swift end to that. But Intel may have to settle for a lot less than they originally bargained for, trying to keep Gas Station Gaming at bay. With center of the circle belonging to Intel right now, Slurpee is completely unfazed. Oh my god, he's gonna find a knock!
And Intel's ability to understand how to play the space, understand how to set the pace in this gunfight is ridiculous. They have 2 teams that they have to account for, where they have to dedicate resources onto multiple sides of this God spot position, but they're playing it in stride. They're playing it beautifully on board now with Slurp. Wingman still in hands, trying to catch an angle. Shots are starting to ring out, so forced to back down. Meanwhile, Mahoney getting into the action as well. Intel had all the advantages toward the beginning, but it looks like everybody started to come in. Vizio started to take that spot. Phony ends up losing his shields, getting cracked, and now the Fletcher to come in. Phony goes down.
And knowing that Phony has gone down, do Intel play for second, or do they try and retake the God spot, allowing Phony the chance to reset? Gibraltar Bubble buys them a little bit of time here. They're making sure that the high ground doesn't get pushed, but with this critical cooldown missing, Intel may very well be relegated to the 9 placement points that they would get. Slurpee gets knocked. At this point, though, he's got the 3K damage. The rest of Intel may not be able to prop it up. Fearless goes low, and now gets taken down with Gas Station Gaming playing the long game, taking the height, and now taking the win in game 1.
Gas Station Gaming coming out on top. If I told you there was a squad in the top 3 and there was a Loba that came out with the win and Vizio weren't involved, you would have thought it was Vizio, but no, it was Gas Station Gaming coming in, wiping out, taking down Intel. It was almost their game to lose at some point. They had the height, they had the advantage, but Gas Station Gaming, like you said, they're playing for the long game. They were playing for the win, and they deserved game number 1. I will say, though, did they put up enough to take down Intel in the points? Because Intel, they had all them kills. They had, like, it was 11 kills out of Slurp. I think Mahoney had 5. Someone else had 6. Like, literally, they wiped the entire lobby. It was just Doomsday Simulator if you were Intel.
Yeah, I think it's almost mathematically impossible to challenge the amount of kills that they had, so you have to pray that the 3-point difference between first and second was enough. Gas Station Gaming, though, they're going to be waiting on those Mobile 1 leaderboards, as will we, as we take a short break and find out what Yeso has to say about that match.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true spot trademark is at the edge of your dreams and talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that I was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Let's go.
What a crazy first game of the day there, and Gas Station Gaming come out on top. They're able to win that pseudo third party and take out Team Intel. Of course, despite Gas Station winning that game, I would argue that the story of that game was Intel, and specifically Slurpee G, who finished with, I believe, 12 kills overall. We'll see who our player of the game is. I have a hard time believing it's not going to be Slurpee G, but that was crazy. Perfect timing there. Slurpee G does get player of the game. 12 kills, 7 assists, over 3,100 damage. That was an incredible performance from Slurpee here. Of course, has been a fantastic addition to this Intel roster that has been trending up and up over the last 6 weeks, and Slurpee just absolutely frying in that first game. And unfortunately, Intel, in a tough position there after winning the fight against Vizio, and they lose. So well played from Gas Station to take the win. But I would argue with those kinds of numbers from Slurpee G and the rest of the squad, I have a hard time believing that Intel isn't in first place on the Mobile One leaderboard despite dropping that game. It's still well played and a very exciting and action-packed start to the day here, and I just hope that, with 5 more games ahead of us, the pace doesn't slow down in the slightest. Really fun seeing Intel push that pace and play so aggressively and so forward and continue to take and win fights because, that's some of the best Apex Legends out there. Of course, you can see those slow, controlled, methodical teams that are very interesting to kind of pick apart, but seeing a team like Intel just on that W key going after everybody, very, very fun and a very exciting start to our day. We are going to go to a quick break right now. Before we go, though, do want to remind you, of course, again, it's Razer Week here at Series E, so grab your Razer peripherals today. If you are looking to upgrade your setup, walmart.com/esports arena has you covered. Grab this Huntsman V2. We got the regular and the 10 keyless here, and you can pick them up right over there at walmart.com/esports arena. Nice look there. Beautiful. That is exactly what you need for your setup. So go grab one today. We're going to go to a break right now. When we come back, the second game of the day, Dia and Wine Up bring you all the action in just a few.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's fruit refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
All right, guys, let's go. Game 2 about to start with Game 1 performing like that. I gotta say, why not? We are in for a treat today.
That we are. I mean, we saw what Intel were doing to the entire lobby, and it looked like it was their game to win. As we said, one player literally ending with 12 kills did Slurp. Absolutely ridiculous, and somehow that even wasn't enough to come out with the win. It was, it was Gas Station boys, yeah, Gas Station Gaming, excuse me, that were able to come out with the win on that one, and the leaderboard is up. Intel in a firm lead, 35 points. Team Vizio right behind them with 17, and Gas Station Gaming gonna round out our top 3 with 15 points. That's what I like Gas Station Gaming. Back in the day, head over to the gas station, get you an Arizona iced tea, a butter roll, and whatnot. I could get down with some Gas Station Gaming.
I was going to say, with our Mobile One leaderboard demonstrating the dominance of Intel, I wonder if our high performance moment will do the same thing, because this was the push that we called out, that competitive coordination that Intel got to show us, and it looked really good in Harvester. What was likely their riskiest moment ended up turning into one of their biggest strengths, being able to play the low ground from inside of Harvester and translate that into a nice amount of height for the end game. Ended up getting Intel second place, and I mean, those kills came from somewhere, right? This was definitely a big part of it.
And what really intrigued me was that there was a point where Vizio were holding out outside of the vault and literally holding a team in within the last 20 seconds of that hill closing in. Intel decides to third party a little bit, put down a couple of shots, you know, really introducing themselves, but they don't commit to that. They said, no, we need to take this building until we're able to take that height towards the final circle. So they were it's almost like they're playing chess, everybody else is playing checkers. They're thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, and obviously was a large reason why they were able to secure second place. And all of those KP, those kill points, where it's too real. You can't deal with it.
Yeah, we are seeing exactly why these guys have dominated on open nights time and time again. With our winners, though, Gas Station Gaming picking up the win with only 3 kills off the back of that. They've definitely got the formula for success. Question just has to be, is that going to be enough to keep them in the top 3 over the course of today's 6 games? I want to see them pick up the pace, maybe match Intel a little bit earlier on in the game than they did last time, and see if they can move themselves perhaps even up to second.
I'm just saying, I've been preaching the value of Loba since Season 8. We see that he'll, going to be going over all the way down to the tree, so really pulling south here. But, Gas Station Gaming, the ones running Loba, and I've been preaching her value for so long. Her ring nets you more escapability than a Wraith. Her ultimate, the armor swaps, the nades, the never having to run out of ammo. It's always kitted with Loba. Absolutely love what I'm seeing. Love what I'm seeing on screen is baited. Coming into the action, one dude does go down, so they all automatically losing their Gibby player. Lynx out, going in for the early res as they're having their teammate hold that angle, but the nades are starting to come in. They're not going to be able to finish off the res. Crypto going, despite being cracked, deciding to poke out, ends up running into the alternator bullets. They go again for the res, not able to get it.
Oh my
Valkyrie
God.
ends up going down. Johnny left by himself, barely any health at the moment. He's gonna have to try to fight this out, or maybe try to get away to rat things out.
Disposable with the RE45 has actually bought enough time that there's the possibility that he gets 2 KP for the squad. Remember, on Crypto, you've got the ability to pick up banners from range as well. So as long as you survive, everything's going to be okay. BAC want to make sure that that doesn't happen and are on your tail with the P2020 in the hands of Sapphire Flameless.
Having all 3 players though with white armor, not the best if you want to try to get into a 3v3 engagement. You don't know what their enemy team has, but most likely at least one of them having blue, so it looks like they're finally going to loot up those boxes, at least having one player upgrading that armor. And I love the alternator for early fights. You can't always be kidded for the early fights, but if I land on an alternator off the rip, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get in there.
Exactly. You're hyped for that 1v3. Sentinel Wingman, though, how do you feel about that? Because it's looking like that's what Baited's going to be playing with more than likely. Res sound is pretty darn loud, but it doesn't seem like this has attracted any attention. Are they really going to get to reset off the back of what was a very, very difficult-looking start to the game?
Yeah, not only was Johnny able to pull off the res there, but now we even haven't had enough time for Slayers to actually come out with the Phoenix kit. Somehow Baited resetting a little bit, but they haven't got that 3rd banner. I know that's exactly what they want. Meanwhile, the men of the hour, Razer, coming in out of Razer Week, trying to get involved with a team having that ultimate height above them. It looks like our Gibby's going to take a wide route to try to collect the angle, 30-30 in hand to do that initial damage, and then maybe the zip to try to close the distance as Valkyrie started to fly in. One quickly going down. There's 2 players trying to get involved all the way towards the north side, but that 30-30, man, when it starts hitting, it can hit. There ain't no G7 scout on the floor anymore, so you got to rely on that 30-30.
Yeah, it is crazy, the sort of ad for the 30-30 that we just saw. Great opener and a great closer as well. Nobody you'd rather be piloting at this game than Dressov either, as his accuracy was absolutely deadly. With the sniper tower being the focus of Razer at the moment, they've still got a long ways to go until that ring. And that was the kind of play that we were praising just last game, was knowledge of where you need to be, and most importantly, where other squads will want to be prioritizing. Well, I like that Razer have managed to win a fight, get a kill up in the north. The fact is, the game's not going there, and I want to see if they can get involved in the action, much like Vizio are.
The one thing that's always impressed me watching some of these top teams is not only, it's obviously the shots hit, and, they're really impressive when it comes to winning their 1v1s, but it's really impressive how coordinated they are and how quick they are to end these fights. Either they're quick to engage or quick to disengage. Everything's so decisive where, I'm kind of a hard-stuck diamond, I think the game don't move like that, Dia. Let's be honest.
No, really. We got a lot more camping going on. Intel, though, right on the heels of Vizio, are continuing to up the pace of this game, make it even scarier. We're not sure who's in that building, whether it's I think it's not Vizio, because we saw Gibraltar. We still don't know exactly who it is, but we know it's not Vizio.
Slurp G, this was the man that you got to shut down for Team Intel. Ended with 12 kills and a ridiculous amount of assists as well. He can lay down damage and has no problem getting aggressive. Intel, one of the best teams that we have in our partnered squads, are obviously destined for greatness. It looks like Wraith Portal going to be coming in. It looks like they're going to try to find an exit route with it, as he's not happy with that gunfight. As I say that, Fearless does end up going down. The bubble res going to try to come in. Hopefully Slurp can have that portal come into play and have his teammates re-engage with us. Intel, for one of the first times we're seeing in this tournament so far, are on the ropes. They're not knocked out, but they're certainly knocked down.
Watch Mooney, though. Mooney goes down. Remember, no bubble was available because they used it on the high ground. Though Intel have survived as a whole, they may very well be playing the rest of this game out as a two-man, and that's to say if they're lucky. Fearless is still operating on very little HP, hasn't gotten to heal up all the way. Gotta hope that Into the Void is available as well, because if Slurpee becomes the target of really anyone at this point, it could mean death to the Intel squad.
Well, Intel were able to grab hold of that banner, and obviously Slurp just following Fearless at the moment. So we could see a total reset coming in out of Intel. Now, they're going to res right here. I mean, there's a little bit of action here. Obviously, the box is early, but they're feeling confident that they can regain and get right back into the thick of things. Still 18 squads remaining. I do see a Razer player going down on the feed. I think it was Prodigy Aces that was awarded that one, as Intel long-range shots going in, and Mahoney coming back to the battlefield.
This is really good as well, because as long as you've got your Gibraltar, you do have a lot more stability in the mid-game. You already talked about the value of this legend, but Intel have made it look pretty good so far and do need that crucial stability given to them to be able to take high-risk, high-variance fights in the late game, much like we saw last time. But they're already being pushed. Slurpee's being angled on, and he didn't see it. We, from our third-person perspective, did. It's a little bit too late for our Wraith as he bites the dust.
Slurp not able to watch the blind side here, as Fearless going to quickly take height. It's now a 2v3, v3, as multiple teams are going to try to get into the action and making a lot of noise. But the R3 one-shot started to rip, has to avoid the nades. Early bubble coming in, as it looks like they're looking to armor swap, loot up, and get aggressive on Intel. Once you have those numbers, you have to take advantage. But Fearless hitting the R3 one-shots, quickly going to equalize the situation, utilizing that height and very little recoil to take down one quickly, and now can Intel regain.
Their position swapping, 1-for-1 kills, and banner retrieved by Intel. They're coming out on top of this, but that is just for now. Bubble again used defensively, and I'd like to see Intel reposition. They don't have that long. A very nice redeploy will help buy them at least a little bit of time. No damage taken in the sky just yet, and Intel should get out. Question's just, are they going to the res? What are they doing?
Intel quickly going to get out of that situation, but Ironic was left behind in the same situation that they got out of. Ironic is trying to fight in. Spacey putting down the damage, whips out the Peacekeeper, putting it down, and now is chasing the Valkyrie. The Hunted have become the Hunter as he takes down one. And I believe in a 1v2, maybe just a 1v1. Looks like an ultimate is going to come in, but the height coming out of Valkyrie, now going to play the battery back up to full health. This is the value that Valkyrie has. Fast fights, height advantage, now dropping down to control the pace, missing one Peacekeeper shot, but still in a good situation is Spacey.
Just a 1 versus 1 for right now. Bats, shield swaps available, taken back to the height. Does find an initial break, but just on the downed member. Not able to actually take down Fury just yet. the one thing in between you and a couple more kills. Does find yet another nice crack, but this time doesn't get nearly enough damage. Fury and Scissors are able to turn that around, and with Phony on the low ground about to be rezzed, it looks like Vizio are uncontested in this reset.
I mean, I love the thought process there. I mean, you hear the rest come in, you get in there, Peacekeeper's out, the shot goes in, it just doesn't hit for enough to really take advantage of that situation, and sadly, our Valkyrie player did go down. Vizio coming out on top, and 16 squads remain. Like you said, no third party coming in. They're most likely going to have to rotate out as a long rotation coming in. 50 seconds left. They're going to be stuck playing the edge of hill, but Vizio very comfortable doing so.
That's going to be, like you say, perhaps a risky position for most teams, but one that we are sure that a team with this much firepower can get their way out of. There are a lot of med kits as well. I just noticed Phony dropping, and I'm curious whether they try and tank a little bit of ring and perhaps storm stack for a little while, because the longer that you can buy yourself time and, importantly, information around beacons, the better you can fight for what you expect to be Godspot in the ring. Nerf already holding down theirs as they have not moved from Lava Siphon in the early game and are sitting right next to Team Excedrin. Both of them going, nope, the ring's pulling to us this game.
Yeah, I like Excedrin's position right now. I mean, sitting over towards Lava Siphon, if they have a little bit of range, they can really hold teams back. You're seeing the engagement coming in. Like you said, Nerf having a decent position of their own, really just kind of peak damaging it now, but now you're seeing multiple teams rotating here from the northwest side of the map, and we're going to see if that's going to force Excedrin out of their spot, or if they're going to be able to successfully defend their position over towards Lava Siphon. And now Intel, you know, just really bad luck here in game number 2. You know, they've gone down multiple times. Every time they every time they get back to a situation, it seems like they're right back on their back foot. But Intel, comfortable with fighting, they're going to have to fight out of this situation. Slurp still having the white shield, but 10 damage away from upgrading that, wants to quickly get back into the action.
Good flank. You've got to find a beam here as Slurpee. You've got to be the difference maker. Only on blue shields right now. Doesn't get quite enough damage, but is taken up to the height. Can he find the angle? No, he drops down. The PK shot does connect, but Slurpee's still in trouble. Has to go into the void. Back to his team. No knocks coming through just yet. Med kit necessary at this point. Can you outlast? Can you out-battle in the ring with no econ?
And looks like their opponents are going to be Splash, started to close the gap. How Bright is in the bubble, but one going to go down. It's Prodigy, Aces, and it looks like our Giddy players are going to go down as well. So it's a 3v1, and I don't know how that player is going to come out alive. Intel, once again, backs against the wall, but coming out on top, and now going to get some well-deserved loot. As round 3 he'll starting to tick, and hey, you know, round 3 can start to hurt a little bit. They're going to have to quickly get out of this situation.
Oh my god, though, just the turnaround on that alone is absolutely wild. Intel defy expectations, defy even another partnered squad in Splash, and are able to decimate on the corner of the ring after being punished time and time again. That's pretty darn good. Fearless did get knocked, unfortunately. I was like, what are we knowing about? Oh yeah, that's right, we went down to Storm. It does indeed hurt.
Yeah, but you know, quickly being rezzed up. I mean, obviously these players know what to do as he tries to get the Phoenix off and goes down again. So this time the gold bag res gonna come in, most likely, and now we're gonna be good here. Now we're gonna be good. The gold bag res coming in. We got nothing to fear. They're gonna get out of the situation. But a minute and 9 seconds at this point, they gotta get out of the situation. They gotta get to at least the edge of hill and formulate a plan of how they're gonna try to play round 4 and beyond.
Yeah, they may be trying to wait for that redeploy, but even that seems really risky. I am wondering how Intel do participate. And hey, for those of you who are watching this and going, what on earth? How did that happen? In Ring 2, you pop a syringe and then you pop the Phoenix kit. That is how it has been and how it always will be.
Okay.
Remember to get yourself that nice little bit of extra health.
Well, chocolate milk, which you know I'm a fan of, let me tell you. But both the team and the product itself looking like they want this Lava Siphon position that Excedrin went in earlier. That might just be them up top as Chocolate will quickly find a home. And that's one of the values that Caustic bring to a composition. Now, you see, this is not the best positioning normally out of Chocolate Milk, but a couple of canisters here might stop a team from pushing forward. If they do, they'll end up taking some early damage, and the intel will go towards our Caustic player, Cobra. So Chocolate Milk looking somewhat comfortable here, but eventually they're going to have to push Excedrin out of this high ground.
Do you think Chocolate Milk are pandering, trying to audition for the next Nestle Splash spot? I think that might be the angle here. They're like, no, we know our product. We're gonna see if we can partner up. Although hydration is a valuable goal, I think we can all agree that chocolate is really what we need.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you, if you're not starting off your tournaments with a big old glass of chocolate milk, you don't want enough. You don't want the win. Meanwhile, Lazarus just wanted to get out of this situation alive. Caustic gases are out. It looks like this is their time to try to pull off the res. No gold bag here, but quickly popping the canister to try to get some gas in. And our Valkyrie player, Vize, is up. Shield battery in. Bubble is out as they need to loot up before they get into their next engagement. There's a team literally northwest of them, almost right in front of them. They're going to have to engage. There's no way they can find a route that doesn't involve fighting them.
Very smart cooldown management, however, from Lazarus, because though they do expend the bubble, and that would normally be risky, note that they did not do it to resurrect their knocked player, instead buying a little bit more time with the caustic gas, trusting that that would be enough to obscure visibility, and then going for the additional loot, getting themselves pumped up with the additional safety bought to them by the Gibby bubble. Should be up again soon, but at that point, you just got to recognize that it is a matter of inches. Interesting ult by Vizio. Are they really opening up on a fight they don't have cracks on? Are they really going for it? Is that the kind of team that we have raised here in Series E? Fury instantly decides, no, it isn't, dropping back down to the low ground, but Boney has already found a knock, so we're going to see how this one ends up playing out, because this may still be a Vizio wipe, despite the fact that they started that fight cold.
Yeah, normally when the ult comes in, normally nades are following. That's when you try to get that damage in, but not much value in out of the nades ult combo. But Vizio don't need it as they quickly collapse. Beautifully played by them, letting their guns do the talking. We're down to 11 squads remaining, and Vizio having a great position to move towards that hill, which is closing in less than 20 seconds.
They are going to have a difficult spot to rotate to, but note that in this particular case, they do have the Pathfinder, which may get them a lot of value in the end game, where height is so ridiculously important. I love the redeploy right now to scout out where their opponents are. But even this, you can take the top of Lava Siphon right now and actually be quite happy. Instead, going down to the low ground, are they really playing down here just around the side of the ring, trusting that nobody else they can't take, that is, will be right next to them? They've already found their next prey.
Early Gibby bubble coming in out of their opponents. Vizio trying to catch an angle here with the Rampage with 2 Thermites ready to charge that up at any point in time if they're willing to commit to this fight. Fury gonna drop down as well. Ultimate accelerator is down, so it looks like they're trying to get a quick ultimate here so they can try to get out of that situation, as opposed to Excedrin, who are trying to stay into one. Ultimate bombardment coming in, bubble going down, but that team being heavily gatekept towards the outside of the ring. Excedrin playing the space beautifully. Easy knocks coming in. We're down to 10 squads.
Pick up those kills. Intel, though, seeing the squad that came in below them, are now aping the low ground. Have already found 2 kills. They're going to make sure they get the shield swaps halfway through this fight, making any potential reset even easier, especially for somebody like Mooney, who's got to heal up. Mattel have stabilized well and are playing this with really good pacing, considering they've got a squad right above them that would surely like a piece of the action. With Zone pulling right on top of this squad as well, it could not be a better time to be an Intel fan, as they are playing this end ring so well, but once again find themselves as next door neighbors with Vizio.
Yeah, it's funny. Vizio and Intel were in the same exact space. I'm surprised they didn't engage earlier, but a little gentleman's agreement out of them saying, you know what, we're going to share this space. There's still 9 squads remaining. If we get into a little bit of a slobber knocker here, we're going to get third-partied most likely by making too much noise. So they're going to share that space at least for the time being. Meanwhile, Excedrin finding their own god spot in the circle at the moment. I like this spot out of them. Vizio still chilling right next to Intel. We have a little bit of Intel in on multiple teams, and eventually this circle is going to be too small for 9 squads. They're going to be forced to fight.
Vizio and Intel have to go head-to-head. The other opportunity for Vizio is to take height, but they just never really give up a fight, do they? Vizio, if given the opportunity to fight and maybe lose, or fight and or rather, and not fight, and survive the next ring, they're always going to fight. You're seeing exactly why. Intel is really experiencing exactly why. It's not even really getting the chance to play the game. You take an ult, you take multiple nades, and you find yourself down with just one member left. Never mind, let me make that correction for you. 0 members left. Vizio take the fight underneath height, and now find themselves as the only team down here uncontested on the low ground.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were questioning the value out of Horizon, there it was right there. Barely having to shoot their guns, the black hole comes in. Not only does it throw off the pacing and throw off the timing of your opponents, but it sucks them into a general location where you just rain down nades. I think it was Team Liquid that one of the Esports Arena Pro Nights implemented Fuse and Horizon at the same time, and they came out with multiple big wins. I'll tell you, Horizon is extremely valuable, and their Q ain't bad either, as Lee finishing and thirsting that one player who's trying to get behind cover to try to get the res off. Sadly, not gonna happen. And Excedrin very comfortable in their position. Normally when you see Ash, you would see a team that wants to get aggressive, but they're gonna just play defense. This is where they want to be. We're down to 7 squads. They got a decent amount of kill points. Excedrin are playing for the long game.
Now the cooldown management has to be absolutely perfect here because they have such a good spot but are running low on ammunition. Much like you talked about with Horizon, abilities are the thing that can differentiate you from every other squad. Even now, using these ordinances is already pretty darn risky for Excedrin. They're trying to use them to pick up kills, to pick up assured points, but it is absolutely going to cost them in this late game, especially against Asuras, who have that ability to literally one-shot you.
Ooh! Almost having a collateral in that one. Nifty aims. I want to see some more nifty shots, but only 2 shots remaining here in the Kraber, and still having to work their way towards the hill. A bubble coming in early. Looks like they're looking to close the gap and avoid as much damage as possible. Still 5 squads remaining, 13 players on the map. This is the final ring. We are going to have a winner here soon, and just as that happens, it looks like Lazarus able to take down the final player on Nerf, bringing us down to just 4, and we already have lost our Gibby player.
Asuras have no sustain, and at this point, any damage that gets thrown at them is sticking. Even for Nifty, who doesn't quite manage to jump into the void, does end up getting taken down. Excedrin collect almost all of those kills with a beautiful arc star from Lee. And now, with our top 3 squads going against each other, it is going to be Vizio and Lazarus on the high ground, with Excedrin playing the RV. It's been Godspot for them until now. Can they hold on to it, or will Vizio take a game?
Vizio, Excedrin, Lazarus, only one can remain. Excedrin had a really good spot here over towards this trailer. But it's like they're going to have to push him, but Lazarus and Vizio looking to engage early. Phony going to try to avoid as much damage as possible, trying to get into the bubble, but is being denied access. The black hole is coming in out of the horizon. Valkyrie's trying to fly out of there. She's going to get put down. We have a new kill leader, but Excedrin are looking to take advantage.
Nice push from Lazarus, but Excedrin's control should be enough to net them this game. They already had the height, they've already got the angles, and now with the 2 versus 1, Viz surely cannot outduel this. Jumping up the high ground as Valkyrie, he tanks just 1 tick more of the ring, and Excedrin end up walking away with game 2. Beautifully played by them. The control of the high ground right there at the end was immaculate.
Yeah, they were sitting towards that trailer for quite some time, and that was their god spot. And then eventually, Vizio and Lazarus decided to engage for that position. Excedrin said, okay, cool, we're going to wait for the first knock or 2, and then they said, let's take advantage of this, and quickly wiped out, earning that game number 2 win. Beautifully played by Excedrin.
It was really nice stuff, and all 3 teams in that situation were in a difficult spot. I think a lot like we saw in game 1, the difference maker being that this time, Lazarus played for second. They got those additional 3 KP, and in a way, it's almost like they got first place just because they secured those points. So I do wonder where they're going to balance out in our Mobile 1 leaderboards. But for the mystery of that to be resolved, we're going to toss this to a short break and see what Yeso has to say about game 2.
We talked about them at the start of the show in the race for third place with Team Nerf, and Excedrin get it done here in Game 2, grabbing a big victory. And something tells me they've probably jumped up into third place, at least for the time being here with that performance in Game 2. So well played from Excedrin, cleaning things up in the final circle and grabbing the win. Let's check out our second player of the game here for tonight's competition. And it's going to go to our good friend Kimchi Lee here. 8 kills and 4 assists and over 2,100 damage in this one. Not as crazy of a game as we saw from Slurpee G in game number 1, but that's still a really good showing here from our friend. 8 kills and 4 assists is a solid total, so that's at the very least 24 points for the side of Excedrin. Of course, Intel jumped out to a huge lead, doubling up on second place with 34 points, a 25 kill game number 1, despite not winning that huge lead. But Excedrin here with a good chunk of points, and especially with Intel going out much earlier in the game this time around, not getting into those very late circles means that they are certainly lacking in the points department this time around, and it's a big opportunity for Excedrin to put themselves firmly in the conversation here for tonight. Vizio also getting into another late circle here, not able to close it up and finish the game. They do finish in third for a second game in a row, but at the very least, Vizio looking solid to start off and getting into these late circles. We'll have to see if maybe in the final game of the first half, our last game on World's Edge, maybe they can kind of complete that and grab the victory that they're looking for. But at the very least, Excedrin on the board here with a win in game number 2. We're going to a quick break right now, but when we come back, final game of the first half before we head over to Storm Point, so don't go far.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Take the bars to the breaks. I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Series E. 2 games down and a third on the horizon. But going into that third, I gotta say, why not? The biggest question on our minds has to be, where is that Mobile 1 leaderboard stacking up? Because if you are a World's Edge-centered team, you only got one more game to get as many points as possible. Storm Point play a whole lot slower. And for teams like Intel that have been absolutely kill hunting, for teams like Vizzy that have been doing the exact same, I wonder where they're gonna end up.
Yeah, excited to watch, to see how both of these teams come out on top. It was in game number 1, we saw Gas Station Gaming really play space really well against a red-hot Intel team that ended up having second place in that game. But trust me, had 34 points by the end of it. So clearly we know who took the better route. It was definitely Intel coming out on top with that 34-point game number 1. And they had a decent game too, so I would only imagine they're planning to keep a hold of their lead. Obviously, they didn't net that top 3 or the top 2, but they're still going to keep that number 1 spot with 44 points. So a solid 10-point games. And, Dia, that's kind of what wins tournaments. You're playing for those 10, 11, 12-point games. Like, are they excited as a 30-point game? No, but that's what's going to net you a win eventually. Vizio right behind them with a big 38, and Team Excedrin going to round us out with 28 points. And here's your high performance moments of that game.
This was pretty incredible because while Vizio did put up a really good fight, the push from Lazarus was decisive, and the rotation from Excedrin even more so. A lot of times you will see teams take rotations in that are either too early or too late, trying to get too aggressive on the third party, or allowing enough time for teams like Lazarus to reset. This time, Excedrin did neither, and you can really tell their shot calling is coming to fruition. I know, especially from the beginning of the season, Lee has been on his team's back about making sure they are the most disciplined team around. And you're seeing that pay off in Excedrin's playstyle right now. We saw it with the rotation over to the RV, and this is the beginning of what could be an incredible snowball for them throughout the day.
You know, I think that's totally right and a great point. You know, their fundamentals were on point with the way they had that discipline, the trigger discipline, their positional discipline, and then also waiting for you know, the first two knocks or the first knock or two to come on the board before engaging in that top 3 fight. They said, hey, you guys want to fight it out? Sure, we're gonna hang out back here. Once those knocks come in, that's when they collapsed. That's when they took advantage, starting off with those nades. So, you know, I think it's a great point. Excedrin's fundamentals really on point, and I'm excited to watch them continue for this final game in World's Edge and see if that's going to be able to carry over into Storm Point.
It is really impressive how a team like Excedrin sort of lives and dies by each other. The discipline that I was alluding to, almost military in a way, where they are all on the same page at all times. And if they're not, it's literally just not the Excedrin that you know. Something has gone wrong, and they're going to be whipped into shape by the next round. It's landing over here in Skyhook, however. They have swapped up their strats from the beginning of the season as well, when they would always be, or rather, Fragment, excuse me. They have swapped up their strats, at least in this game as well, because I recall Excedrin as being a very southern-centered team, specifically landing in Thermal Station, but having access to this more central rotation, a lot easier to get places from the middle of the map. This could be the thing that is changing Excedrin's playstyle for the better.
Yeah, you know, we've been loving the early rotations coming out of Fragment, but we also been hearing, you know, players like Hao complain about the loop almost being a kind of silent nerfed towards I think it was like last update, where they stopped getting decent loot. They would leave here with triple white sometimes as they started to rotate over towards landslides. So even though you get that early access, the loot sometimes isn't as good here on Fragment, but you know, Wingman R301, that's all you kind of need, you know. I'm expecting some early work to be put in, as it looks like that zone will be pulling over towards Fragment East and even catching a bit of overlook over towards that western side.
Fascinated to see that nobody's in No Name just yet, at least a squad not really piled up inside the building, just starting to edge in there for the beacon, getting that next zone scan, and knowing that if you are going to be in No Name, it's going to age pretty darn well. The chance to hold Geyser Tunnel opening itself up at the same time, with Lazarus all the way out in Overlook actually having one of the better spots, because they will retain height for so long compared to the rest of the squads, as long as they're able to just sit where they started the game.
Still looking at Excedrin over towards that bottom right-hand corner of the screen, still rocking Ash, Valkyrie, and Gibby. So lots of mobility there. That tells me that that's a squad that doesn't mind fighting. They don't mind getting into the action. But you also mentioned before about their discipline and how they're also trying to play their opportunities exactly the way they want to control the pacing of the game. So going to be really excited to see how Excedrin look to play out this as early shots start to go in. And a bit of respect crouching for their opponent, you know, ultimately bowing, showing all the respect towards Johnny and the team. I like that. Come out, Excedrin. I really, really like that.
Yeah, you gotta let them know, right? That the battle was honorable, and that you'd like to do it again sometime. Razer, perhaps not finding their opponents nearly as enticing, do end up taking the kills, looting them, and just walking away, but Excedrin are already in another fight. That's the other benefit that you get, if you can call it a benefit, is that in the center of the map, people are going to come to you. People are going to rotate through Fragment all the time, but right now, Cruisin is all alone. And again, we got that team play coming in from Excedrin. The call is to back off, fight together, but enemy is all up on their own. Surely Lee and Cruisin can play hero, but Cruisin gets knocked again, separated from the squad, and we're seeing Excedrin starting to fall apart at the seams. Can enemy clutch it out? Because with Lee already down, we might see an early end to Excedrin.
The timing on that was terrible. It looks like two players will end up going down, but enemy putting in the work with the Eva. One knock in, but a new challenger has appeared, looking to get into the action. The Eva shot starting to rip out, almost able to take down two, but sadly Excedrin will go down in 18th place.
It is that small separation that dooms them needing to group up, but not knowing exactly how they wanted to do it. Excedrin get a little bit caught out. Their hubris biting them after a big game 2. Get sent back down to the drawing board for game 3. The snowball stymied now will have to be started up again. Intel thinking of getting theirs rolling. We're looking at a fight in the south, and they may still take it. Remember, Ring is pulling away from here, but it is also just zone 1. It doesn't do that much damage.
The number one team now just kind of gatekeep this team and force them to take a longer route as Fearless taking height with Valkyrie, and now is that team starting to rotate away. It looks like he's trying to create some space here, but ends up running to some early shots. The third might gonna come in, just barely able to dodge that one as Mooney is trying to get into the action as well. Slurpee angling out over toward the south side. Fearless able to take height here, and now Intel have the advantage of this fight, and they're starting to collapse.
It is crazy the way that Intel are playing this fight. Mooney is flying over like Superman, and in the meantime, people are just taking whatever scraps they can. Already an excellent knock found by Fearless, and though they are separate, Intel are all on exactly the same page, and that page is death. Looks like they've found themselves a death note out here in the southern end of World's Edge. 3 kills already, no third party in. That was absolutely wild.
It really was. That just tells you the confidence out of Intel. I mean, you literally see our Valkyrie player just flying out to the open right there, just getting that into that team just happened to buckle a bit and showed a sign of weakness, and then they collapsed together as a team, winning their 1v1s, hitting the shots. It helps that the car is absolutely disgusting as well in this game, as Razer angling out with the 30-30 repeater. I'm telling you, man, the 30-30 don't get enough love as it should in comp. It can definitely net you some early damage, especially with that Gibby arm shield.
I gotta say, I agree with you. However, and a massive comma after that, however, these iron sights are not the best, but Dressive is making them look pretty darn good. I saw those shots connecting on what was maybe a pixel of space. 3x is good. 2x is fine. 2x4, excellent. Iron sights, I wouldn't do it.
Well, you got to make use of what you got. And, I'm sure that he would love to have a 2 or 3x as well, and eventually should be able to find that, especially as they're looking to early rotate out. 15 squads remaining here, and Razer very comfortable playing the edge of circle, or edge of storm, actually in the storm at the moment. And with 43 players on the map, I wonder how they're going to like to play this one out.
Okay, so interestingly enough, I'd expect them to, if they haven't done trials already, wow, okay, we are going to do trials. Razer are basically waited for this to close in and gone, we're going to get a bit of loot here. We can tank zone 1, and there's plenty of heals to keep us alive. Most importantly, on the way back in, they're going to be able to get zone scanned from the building right next to them inside of Skyhook, but definitely going with a little bit more of a storm stacking angle right now, trying to get themselves nice and looted up for fights in the end game more than at the beginning. Intel, they're going, what is that? What is fights in end game? I don't understand what that means.
You know what? You wanted that player to get a 3x on his 30-30, and when going through trials, I'm sure he'll be able to find one. Meanwhile, Intel looking to get into some damage. This all tells me that they're trying to get all the intel that they need in order to get aggressive on a team. 44 players physically on the map, and Intel deciding to take to the skies.
Their processing power is about to be through the roof as well. Not spotting anybody out just yet with the Valkyrie passive. I'm sure they're a little bit confused as where did everyone go? But landing inside a fragment, you do get yourself ever slightly closer to ring. Height initially prioritized. Right now it's a lot about scouting for Intel, because there can be teams right there that are hiding in here that you didn't know about. Right now the data is in, and Intel know that there's a Loba upstairs that they would really like to take advantage of.
And I'm guessing that's Gas Station Gaming. They were one of the only teams that were rocking the Loba, and when that ultimate, that black market boutique stealing the loot away, I'm going to assume that it's them, and Intel getting all of the intel that they need once again. Car in the hands of Slurp, waiting for someone to overextend. I love this discipline. I love this angle that he's looking to collect. Finally going to break through the door and lay down the law. The Gibby's arm shield is going to barely keep him alive as all of the car shots were hitting.
Nice movement from Intel as well. They're denying so much space, corralling, shepherding in the squad in front of them. And though that black market is no more, neither is Cosmic. Intel taking 3 quick kills inside a fragment, plenty of loot, and looking really good doing it.
It's the firepower combined with the quick and decisiveness, combined with the efficiency that make Intel such an impossible team to deal with. Once they get that information, it's quick, it's decisive. They get in your face, they put in that work. We have to go and look at this replay. Look at the car shot. What is this, Dia? What is this?
And I really like that right after that as well. Slurpee slides in, continues to apply pressure. It gives Fearless time to walk in. Mooney lays down the bubble to make sure that he doesn't go down. They've got the space, and then rounding the corner. I mean, Slurpee could not have lined up the shots more perfectly. Ends up taking out 2 members, and with the wingy, seals the death of a third. Slurpee has already been popping off today, but just continues to show us that he is made of something so different.
And now Intel creating space here, as nobody able to contest them, at least in the close range. They are getting some information that there's players over on the far south side, and a 2x on a wingman. Just that just ain't right. I don't know. I mean, it works, I guess, but it don't feel right.
if that upsets you, I need to introduce you to the subclass of players that use 1x2s on their wingman. Oh yeah, that'll get you. That one, it physically hurts to watch, but somehow it works for them.
Well, you know what's working for our Gibby play here, Vatari, is the triple take. Let me tell you, I feel the triple take's the only weapon that came out of the care package. I feel like got more consistent. I don't know what it is. I'm better with the triple take as a hit ground loop, maybe because I guess picking up more as Vatari putting down damage, but taking some damage as well. Ironic, trying to create an exit route for them using the portal, going all the way down and outside of the circle. They need to play the space. They need to set the pace in this next gunfight if they want to ultimately get back into that circle and get back into contesting the rest of the game. 14 squads remaining, 41 players still on the map.
Spacey's looking for vertical clearance right now, or at least was for just a moment, but have decided that instead Ironic are going to attempt walking this in. Knowing there's a squad above them, it's a risk that they're going to take for now, thinking, hey, hopefully we won't get gunned down from above. And I suppose a little bit late, I've decided that perhaps it wasn't enough. I'm surprised by the decision made right there, since they were so close to being inside the ring. But we'll see where they land and be able to determine whether it ultimately pays off. Razer, on the other hand, do eat the Sky Nade, with Dressive going down a little bit in the shield cells, that I will say he's got plenty of at the moment. They got an EMP incoming as well, and you're starting to see why streamer building is so difficult to hold, because Razer are facing down not 1, not 2, but maybe even 3 squads.
I'm pretty sure Drez just asking, like, how many nades does this team have? Like, he had to dodge, like, 8 grenades right there. And it tells you how valuable it is. Like, you know, I play in diamond lobbies all the time, and I feel like there's a bunch of teams that don't value the nades. You know, games are won by nades. You remember when you saw that Horizon come into effect with that black hole sucking in the enemy, sucking in the defense of the enemy, and then chucking those grenades to do all of the work. They should be how you enter fights. They should be how you clean up kills. You should be able to control the pace and the flow of the dance, if you will, by utilizing the ordinances. Razer electing to get out of dodge, and now they might be in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 18 teams here.
Yeah. I think that math checks out. Looking around them, it's certainly going to start feeling like that. I will say, though, like you talked about wanting to control the dance of the lobby, there's almost no better place to do it from that height. Razer don't seem to be confident in their ability to hold it. Instead, bringing that into question by getting themselves a portal down to the low ground. I wonder if that's a move for the rest of the team, or if Razer are going to try and split their focus using Bursty to lay down pressure from elsewhere.
We're seeing that portal come into play.
They're fighting for the building. What?
Razer elected to actually...
what are they doing?
They're out of here. They're out of just like that. They're gone.
They don't even want the participation award in this fight. They count to 18, much like we did, and go, nah. I wonder if anybody else is going to be coming through these tunnels, though, because as nice as it looks right now, as enticing as tunnels can be, they buy you temporary safety without a whole lot of promises for your future.
I'm worried about Splash's future right now. They're taking some heavy damage, but it looks like they're comfortable as Jelly coming in. They ain't jam. They don't shake like that. I promise you. Laying down the law with the Master Prodigy. Ace is taken to the sky. Love this Q, but ends up running into a Sky Demon and Valkyrie. But the shot coming out of the Devo, absolutely obliterating one, but Prodigy Aces will go down. Jelly dropping the bubble to go in for the early res. And it looks like Black Hands Act is able to lay down damage, at least enough to actually buy enough time for the rest to come through. But as I say that, Horizon's gonna go down immediately.
Yeah, Prodigy falls once again. Though that gravity lift was a stroke of genius, it's left Ack without a whole lot of options. This is round 3, mind you, and you do not survive round 3. We say goodbye as Lazarus turned tail and run as well, losing Dank in the process. Attracted a lot of attention over by Overlook, but it seems like they're going to get out barely alive, having lost 1.
Horizon used to be the queen of taking height, but I mean that's quickly gone to Valkyrie. I mean, I love me Horizon, but Valkyrie just get up there quicker, and it's definitely more efficient, especially with her Q coming in for that early damage. Vizio sliding into the DMs, doesn't get blocked. Armor swap gonna come in. Vizio not only clearing that fight, but also clearing out anybody that's willing to third party. I think I see a charge rifle coming into play as well. Okay, all right, that kind of lobby, huh? All right.
My bad, guys, by the way. I definitely called that Lazarus lived a little bit too early because I didn't know that Vizio were over by Overlook already. They've been so silent this game. But taking us by storm already, cleaning up a squad, marking their departure, moving us into the top 10, and claiming the high ground on what is going to be a no-name circle. The only squads they've really got to look out for at the moment are those that could exit from Tunnel. And we already know that Intel were in there last we checked.
Fury having the flatline in Peacekeeper. Let me tell you, man, the flatline is absolutely disgusting. And if you don't have your ultimate kit that you can get off of the rip, go in and craft one of the flatlines because it does enough damage to wipe out 1-2 players with the single clip, which is very rare to have here in Apex. And if you control that little bit of recoil, you could definitely get a lot of value out of the flat line. Meanwhile, Razer, we saw them early rotate towards this cave earlier. They're comfortable playing this space and then trying to gatekeep anybody who's looking to get into early access of the circle. But it looks like now it's time for them to make a move.
Who is running Rampart? That is my massive question right now. Everybody is really concerned about it, even poking their heads through the remainder of, oh my lord, poking their heads through the remainder of the tunnel. It wasn't BAC who have instead elected to use the Rampart walls for cover, but guys know it's not going to survive this. Remember, ring 3 slaps, ring 4, it punches. Let's see.
And it does, and Gibby's trying to stay in the fight. It looks like he's going to go down here, try to stay alive as long as possible, but we are down to 8 squads remaining. Meanwhile, Nerf getting himself a Kraber. All right, let's see what Force What can do. I want to see him apply that pressure. I want to see him force the action with this Kraber because it can definitely change games.
They got one of the best spots in ring, or at least typically when we see things pull over towards no name. This time, though, things do get a little bit more difficult as the, oh my god! Crack from Force What? The knock onto YFP actually starts off the fight. Nerf not taking this one line down. They're not waiting for the game to come to them. Instead, they full send it in and fear absolutely no man. They're going to find a very quick wipe on YFP. The question is, can they survive any potential third parties? Because other squads have been looking at this and Demi gets knocked.
Putting the shot into the body, wiping out one, but it looks like the black hole's coming in once again. I don't know if that was a second black hole. Is there another team trying to get involved? I do see Razer toward the outside, trying to avoid as much damage as possible. Dre able to put the Mastiff to work. Quick battery coming in because there's a lot of action here. 5 squads remaining. We might be down to about 2 or 3 in just a minute.
Both Intel and Vizio getting so aggressive right now, and you love to see these two squads that have been tangling near the top for so long starting to come up. However, Vizio are getting taken down. Vizio are actually taken out by Intel at the very same time as I speak the thought aloud. Razer are the ones that ultimately took down Nerf in this building and now have access to that Kraber as well. Can swing the fight. Kraber is deadly, especially in situations like this where we've only got 3 squads left.
7 shots in the Kraber, also having the arm shield to work with as well, and the intel on exactly where that team is over towards the east side, just trying to find a heady barrel, just barely gonna miss, but eventually that shot will start to connect as that team is not in a very good position. 145, ripping shields is our Gibby player coming out of Razer.
you're going to defensive bombardment this as well. You see that bubble go down. You know there's no safety afterwards. Razer have got the push angle on this all day. Need one more shot to seal the deal. 4 bullets left for Razer, more than enough to take them into the top. With Intel standing before them, this could be the upset. This could be Razer finding the fight, but they've already lost Fearing Live. Are they on a downward spiral?
Down to 2 squads remaining. They see an ultimate bombardment coming in, but the bubble coming from across map, and then the counter is going to come in as well. Tries to go in for the quick scope with the Kraber, but the hill is starting to close in. It looks like one will end up going down. Our Gibby player is just taking too much damage here from the Storm. He's going to go down, so Bursty, the final player alive, going to try to pull off the 1v3. Not going to happen. Intel taking second place in game number 1 and first place in game number 3.
And it all goes to heck. Razer had such a good position. Their second place execution was amazing to be able to find themselves an additional 3 kills. But that end game, they were separated, they were lost, and Intel were absolutely not. The dominance that we saw in Game 1 that had such difficult time in Game 2 comes back to strike in Game 3. They're going to extend that point lead even further, and this is as we head into Storm Point as well and get to see all of our squad's inventiveness there.
Oh my gosh, Intel playing that lights out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the plays coming on towards our opposition. I mean, they wanted to bring us down to just 2 squads. They collapsed really well. They got rid of the second place team and brought us down to 2. But Intel were just waiting for the right moment to strike, and it seemed like they just had a plan A and a plan B. So once they got down to 2, they took advantage. Like, okay, well, one player's almost knocked. This one's in the storm. You know, let's just come in. Let's just take our wipe. And they just took the advantages very well. Intel, a very aggressive squad, but then showing that patience toward the top 3 to net them a win in game number 3.
It was incredible to watch. Intel, who I'm sure will have plenty of good things to say about after the break. I'm curious how it's going to go on Storm Point, because Yeso will have all the data to break us down on that and give you guys a little bit more information about PvE.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Team Intel make up for their inability to finish in game number 1 by grabbing a win to close out the final game on World's Edge for today. Another big performance from the squad as they're looking to pad that lead at the top of the Mobile One leaderboard, looking really clean this time around. Let's check out our player of the game here, and then I want to talk a little bit more about PvE, but we'll pull up player of the game here for the last game of the first half. Of course, we will be going to Storm Point here when we come back for game number 4, so we'll get to have a nice look at the adjustments that teams make in terms of composition and playstyle when we go over to that map. But Fearless here going to grab player of the game honors this time around. 10 kills, 9 assists, almost 2,600 damage on the Valkyrie. Another huge game to note, right? Game 1, while they didn't win, picked up 34 points. That was a 25 kill game for Intel in game 1. This time around, 22 kills. So that's between 2 games, a total of 47. Doesn't even include what they did in game number 2. So Intel on the money here so far tonight, and it's crazy to think that with 3 more games remaining, they already have so many points on the board. So Intel feeling really, really strong right now. Now, let's talk a little bit about PvE before we close out halftime here. Of course, PvE is this new awesome event we are hosting at all of our arenas every single week, okay? The way it works is we've got 4 different leaderboards that run Wednesday through Sunday across multiple different titles, and each of them have their own $500 prize pot. Come in, purchase some tokens, you use the tokens for entry in each of the leaderboards and put up your best scores. So whether you're a Mario Kart whiz looking to put your best time out, or you have a real clean shot and want to get in on some aim labs, you can find the leaderboard that is right for you and come in and compete. And the nice thing is you don't have to commit to 3 or 4 hours for a whole tournament. You can stop in, pick up some tokens, 5 or 10 minutes to put in your entries, and then head on with your day. And then you can check the leaderboard stream all throughout the rest of the week. And if your score has fallen from that top spot, you can come right back in and put up more scores. You can keep competing and keep putting up scores all the way through Sunday when the leaderboards close. So if you want to come in and get in on the fun, use exclamation point locations in Twitch chat right now to find an esports arena near you, or head over to esportsarena.com for locations and more details. We do have a special little test. Say that one more time, production. Ooh, no. Okay, we'll have somebody test it out and show you guys another time here. But again, come out to your local arena, come and compete in PvE with us. And again, $500 prize pot for each different leaderboard every single week. And we've also got cool prizes as well. So that's $2,000 a week at stake. Just come in, grab those tokens, and compete in PvE. We would love to see you in our arenas here very soon. That's going to do it for halftime. We're getting ready to go to Storm Point, so we're going to head a quick break right now. When we come back, Dia and Wina will get you ready for the next one.
We're going to do it in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We continue Series E Razer Week Open Night here, but with a little bit of a different swing. We got Stormpoint coming up, but before we jump into that, I want to take a look back, reminisce on what World's Edge has brought us, and take a look at those Mobile One leaderboards to see where we've ended up going into Stormpoint, because the points are all important. They are the things that determine who ends up winning, and I know that Razer is gunning for that top spot. The question is just, can you reach Intel at this point?
Oh my gosh, Intel on top in first place. I would have never guessed it. I am in shock right now, Dia.
Yeah, I know. Who could have possibly predicted the team that has won 4, 5 open nights so far this season is now gunning for their 5th or 6th? Again, I'm going to have to check the stats, but at some point when we are not amazed by the 78 points, let's take a look at that high performance moment as well, see if they ended up there, because high performance was especially the name of the game when it came to the Intel versus Vizio fight. But this was the real height of the game. Seeing Slurpee be able to do it with the car, not once, not twice, but then whipping out the wingman for a 3.
Yeah, I love the entry damage coming in with the car, but then finding that angle to get right behind enemy lines. You know, if you can't fit 3 people through a doorway, so you have to create these different angles. But it all starts with Slurp. Look at this. He breaks through the door, lets him know immediately who's boss, then collects a different angle toward the bottom side, just enough time to play a battery. And you pointed out that Mooney continuing to apply pressure was key, because now they're not looking at this exit point. They're not looking at their flank side. This is a blind side push coming out of Slurp. Beautifully played. And I mean, that not only was that the Intel mobile high performance moment, we actually watched the replay right afterward. We literally had to watch that replay right afterwards to be able to break that down. That was textbook by Intel.
Couldn't get enough of it. And the fact is that entering a fight going, I have a little over 100 damage, and exiting it with 5.5, this is pretty nice stuff. But this sort of Intel look has been really impressive today, and especially on our open nights has been dominant, and I'm starting to see exactly why. Intel operate not as one 3-man unit in the same way that Excedrin do, but all have the same play that they're making as 3 very, very powerful individuals, and Slurpee has stepped up today to definitely show us the power of those individual players. Dropping on a Stormpoint, though, we'll have to see if that can hold up, because as we alluded to earlier, the pace of play changes drastically on a map of this size.
But you know, I think that kind of still lends towards Intel's favor. They're a squad that want to get aggressive. They're going to switch things up just a bit, trading out their their Wraith for an Ashe, which is very popular when landing onto Stormpoint. But I feel like they're going to be even more confident getting into these individual gunfights, because there's going to be less chance of third-party situations. Somehow, though, as big as this map is, Nerf already finding a way to contest someone off the rip, and they're already on the prowl.
Went for that gravity cannon. Is he going to get hit in mid-air? Shots not quite connecting. Doesn't look like Nerf will be drawing first blood of the squads today. But they did find themselves 2 kills, as you mentioned, off a rip, shall we say. So, still looking pretty good. We'll see if banners can be collected a little bit later, but you've got your landing spot. You're sitting in fish farms. You are pretty happy, and it seems like for the most part, that's the story of a lot of squads that aren't centered in the map. Antenna, perhaps a little bit crowded, and actually looking over towards Thunderwatch's Stormcatcher, we got some action over there as well.
And we've definitely seen the hill start to pull just a bit toward that center east side of the map. So definitely a lot of teams that want to play that space, as a lot of teams are separating. You know, lots of space being played on the map, but we're seeing that early damage coming in. So still teams willing to contest each other, and that just tells me that, you know, not everybody. This isn't like the ALGS where all the pros scrim and know where each and every team is going to land. These teams don't really know exactly where everyone's going to land, so they can land right on top of each other, still netting us some early gunfights, even on Stormpoint.
That experience that you mentioned as well is something that really sets our partnered teams apart on Pro Night, on Open Night, where our partnered squads just have so much more experience with Series E that allows them to outperform a lot of newer squads that are coming in. Even right now, though, we are getting some pretty heavy fighting here as teams are trying desperately to figure out who should be where Twisted Sin looking like they, at the very least, will be able to get the res off, reset, and likely pick themselves up at least 2 kills.
Vizio catching an easy access towards the window. Just gonna wave with the wingman, does scissors. Beautifully played. That's what it's all about. Trusting your teammates to create that entry level push and then creating angles around them. But first, it starts with trusting your teammates to win their individual gunfights, and then for you to have the IQ, the awareness to be able to rotate and catch different angles. You saw a team like Intel do it earlier, and Vizio showing they can do exactly that, as that team quickly going to be wiped out, going down at 18th place. Vizio looking good.
We got 3 squads going down, and almost all of them have gone down here. Vizio's rotation from where they land in Jurassic Park is immaculate, it is timely, and it continues to demonstrate their experience as well. Again, reinforcing the idea that our partnered squads do just get to be, at times, a level above when we drop in on open nights to Storm Point. They've definitely had a lot of practice here. Vizio, a lot more than most even. And it is paying off, with the ring pulling right next door to them as well. Normally, Vizio play the swamp, but I am not sure if that's already taken or not, because they do normally get there quite early, and we're already starting to tick away on round 1.
And wow, we're going into round 2, and Intel don't have any kills yet, only 52 damage out of Fearless. That just tells you how slow Storm Point is. Normally by this time, half the squad is wiped out, and Intel have half of those kills as they're looking to get on the hunt, start to get aggressive. And are those prowlers out there? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's prowlers on this map?
Oh yeah, talk about PvE, right?
Oh,
there we go. Well, Intel, I'm sure, will be pretty darn used to it. Might be able to farm them up for some evos, especially on Slurpee. It is interesting, you talked about swapping Ash out for the Wraith. Notice that they've also swapped out Slurpee's positioning, as he actually ends up going down, with Fearless having taken the portal and not him. It's now a 2 versus 3 inside this building. Gotta lay down some serious pressure as Intel in order to be able to keep Slurpee alive. Do they even get this res off? They're likely gonna have to expend Mooney's bubble just to ward off the push.
The bubble does end up going down, and it's Ash's responsibility to hold off 3 members of the opposing team that are trying to get aggressive, and it looks like the Reds are going to come in, but that is not enough. They have to heal up, as Vizio also looking to close the distance, also looking to get involved. So we said third-party situations are slightly rarer here on Storm Point, but they're not impossible. You're seeing one right here.
A little bit of buddy-buddy with our partnered squads as well. Vizio swooping in to save Intel. Unlikely story. Now, turning around, they want those kills on Intel for themselves. Throwing down the defensive bombardment. Boney should be getting a nice tick of damage here. Tree maybe keeping you safe, but for how long is already separated from the squad. A nice tick of damage comes in. Boney now knows that there's a member separated from the squad. We know that there is no portal to take the Ash back to her team, and Boney has to be warded off instead by the bubble offensively. Provides an ultimate, buying them a little bit of time as well. Since Vizio are continuing to try and get aggressive, they gotta keep Intel from exiting out through the doorway. Everybody's running for it for right now. And if you actually hit the reset button on Vizio, because I don't see them being able to push any further.
Yeah, you know, I love the value coming out of Phony's ultimate bombardment, even though it didn't do as much damage as you would have wanted to, with the trees being on top to provide cover. It was still a great way for them to enter into the action, to break through. You saw the Razer ultimate coming in as well to try to throw them off their time and to try to suck them into their defense so they can wipe out, and sadly the execution just a bit off, as Vizio allowing that team to extend out, but they're still in good position. They're obviously still alive. They all have purple armor. You know, they're fully kitted out here, and there's 14 squads remaining. So even though they weren't able to wipe out that squad, you know, thinking into the long game, thinking, you know, into the future, they're still alive. They're still kitted, while everybody else might still have blues and whites and try to fight up for their armor and their kit, as YFP fighting for their lives right now, already down a Valkyrie, but they do have that charged rifle.
They may not have white shields anymore, but being down a member is a pretty unenviable spot. Kiziv is going to be able to get out, surprisingly. Still waiting for Red Ranger to join him up on this high ground. Not sure if that's going to be possible or not. I want to see if they can get Real back into this game. but very risky on Storm Point, where we've already seen the third parties abound and where you definitely do not have the high ground. They might even be waiting for the banner move right now, but Red Ranger says, no, it's not worth it. And honestly, I gotta say that's a fair enough evaluation of the, oh my god, there's a gravity cannon being used. That's nearly suicide in most cases. What on earth?
I love the IQ out of Red Ranger to disengage from that from that engagement. But I'm going to be in Red Ranger's DMs a little bit later today because, you know, you can't be having the charms and the keychain on top of the wingman. It's a lot of clutter on the screen. It's very distracting. I don't know about that play, Dia. Like that, you're setting up for failure. You can't be putting charms, keychain, nothing on the wingman. Keep it clean.
It's true. It's true. It's not. It's not kosher. You need vanilla wingman. Maybe the pay to win. Maybe the pay to win skin. That one's pretty good. Right now though, Intel falling apart at the seams a bit as they separated quite early on. Slurpee trying to take the 1v3 through the gravity cannon. Didn't work out for him, and now Splash have definitely turned it around onto the 3 one-man army as they come back as a full 3-man squad, take out Intel, and put an end to their reign of dominance. This is World's Edge no longer. We're on Storm Point now, and that's Splash territory.
May not be chocolate milk, but Nestle Splash coming in, making a splash, but the Horizon player goes down. Prodigy Aces not only going down, but being thirsted out and turned into a banner. So now Splash going to have to play this out as a duo for now. Maybe they can recover the banner, but it's being heavily guarded. Beautiful R301 shots flying in out of AK, but will that be enough to scare that team away from that banner?
You got to imagine they don't, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, they shouldn't get this. They're trying to separate, get themselves a few more resources, but with the redeploy available, Splash will likely have to give this up. I will say they have 2 minutes to position, however, so we'll see how this stacks up in the grand scheme of things. Grav Cannon going to be available as well. Vizio, in the meantime, are not stagnated by decision-making. Instead, they choose to go with the full-on ape mode that they perfected in our initial couple games, and now are continuing to really challenge the definition of find themselves a doorway and an arc star directly to the base. Vizio will have to reset, may still be ape. Bubble goes down. Scissors is in trouble, needs help from Phony and Fury, but with Scissors already down, Vizio may be falling apart as well. We saw Intel do this earlier. The hubris of it bit them, and Exedrin show us that the exact same thing can happen to Vizio, but maybe with a third party coming in, they're not as safe as they had hoped. Mozam does a lot of work cruising, gonna eat the damage from an arc star, but isn't taken down just yet. Instead, Thermite's connecting, now he's out, and Lee is left alone as the Gibraltar, soon to be taken out by the Nerf.
Nerf is absolutely on fire, and so is Cruising thanks to that Thermite. Nerf quickly dealing with them and still having all of their shields and ready for any third-party situations that may come at them. 11 squads remaining, 31 players on the map, and of course Force having the flatline and massive old reliable combo, and his ultimate bombardment still ready. So yeah, I think Nerf is looking really good. I think they're playing lights out. Nerf are very comfortable here on Storm Point.
Clearly so, and with really good timing on the third party as well. This is, again, the hubris that we're seeing from teams like Intel and Vizio from their dominance on World's Edge. They're picking fights that they can't actually take without having full knowledge of who is in the area. In this particular case, Nerf take excellent advantage of that. Their bullets hitting a little bit harder than the foam ones that I was expecting, but I'm sure they're pretty happy about it.
Yeah, you know, usually in IRL we come with the Nerf blasters. You know, that's how we lay down the law, find out the winners. But on Apex, we come out with masters. We come out with peacekeepers. Yeah. And here on Razer Week, we also got a little R301 action. Pinks are starting to go in. Early damage and distractions coming in from the queue. As Razer's still creating space, still setting the tone, but they're on the outside looking in. If they want to take that building, they'll have to fight for them. Looks like they might just end up trying to find the route to rotate away and not engage here with 11 squads on the main. Razer having their eyes on the prize, and that's for number 1.
They have got to defy the precedent they set on World's Edge as well. Show us that Razer are masters of Storm Point, because with Intel and Vizio both already out, this is the chance for you to take Razer Week and really, really make it yours in a way that we don't see a lot of our other partnered squads do. Bursty already on a very nice off angle, did find the beam with the 301. It wasn't large, but it was something. It was a little bit of pressure, and now he's starting to mind control, starting to shepherd once again, as we've seen teams seems like intel do. Perhaps Razer will be able to take this fight, abusing their height advantage and the fact that the ring is closing in behind you.
Yeah, once that team takes an early bubble, they got to take advantage. But looks like our Ash player Bursty gonna be ripped, forced to play the battery and slow things down. Razer wanted to get aggressive here, but the 30-30 repeater getting value 2 by 4.
Third party.
That beautiful shot's going in, but there's a third-party situation coming in. Dia, what's going on?
They gotta reset. I don't know how they can get out at this point, but the portal is an excellent innovation. It takes you ever so slightly out of focus. Dresev finishes up the syringe shield, might not have time to hit the port, and instead they are separated. But Nerf in another fight as well, over by the swamps, are fighting for what is likely going to be God's spot in this game. An equally high-stakes engagement going around the side. Demi's got an angle here, finds it with the car, only 43 damage, but it ain't bad just yet. Instead, though, on trying to retreat, he ends up finding a little bit too much damage and has to once again take a little bit more time. It's been enough time, however, that the rest of Nerf have piled in, taking advantage of the opening that Demi created for them, and now trying to convert that into not 1, but 2, or even maybe 3 kills. Resetting after the first one, though. There's still Gibraltar on the other side, and again, a potential third party coming in from below them. There's the climb. You hit it, you throw the Arc Star, but Turns is already on you. Bubble goes out just to make sure that Nerf end up surviving the next 15 seconds, but the push has to come through from them now. They've got to finish up this fight, because coexistence is no longer an option.
2 players in front of them and more players behind them here. Nerf feeling the pressure from multiple teams, but 96 damage with the flatline. Hipfire looking real nice, and that doorway being guarded in by Gibby. So although Nerf having multiple teams around, doing a great job of fighting both of them off, don't net them the exact KP that they want, but the pings are going in, and those are going to drop right in on the Loba. Beautifully played by Turns, but he needs to get out of here because he took a lot more than he can chew.
Rest of the team jumps down to finish it off, but Demi has ended up falling. Turns is on a reset, and Force can't actually pick up Demi. They may get one lost and thirsted. Bubble is available, and you want to be able to reset off this forcefully. Very nice use of the res, scanning out that there's nobody pushing up on you, but instead an Arc Star sticks you from behind. You have to separate yourself from your teammate. It's all up to Turns, who does end up pulling off the 1v1. Now turning on to the remaining members of Lazarus. Nerf may have done this in the 1v2 scenario. They take the initial thirst, not knowing how much longer they'll be in the game, but I think that they're going to be able to survive just fine. Third party again, however, keeps causing problems. We're still waiting for this bubble to come up, and until it's available again, Demi can't be picked up.
Yeah, you said you're going to be just fine. As you say that, a Bloodhound scan comes in. It comes in, really slowing down Nerf, but they're able to regain. They're able to recover, getting the res and full heals off. And mind you, Nerf having 3 players in red shields. Our kill leader is Turns. And man, I mean, Nerf are really looking good here on Storm Point, and they're not done yet.
No, not at all. They are absolutely crazy this time around, and a really nice play in Swamps as well to be able to use this low ground to their advantage. Constantly push the limits of what we thought was possible underneath here. However, it's interesting they're not opting back up into high ground, and I do wonder if that'll hurt them later, as right now Razer are desperately clamoring for high ground on the way to the next ring and finding a nice off angle with Bursty.
It looks like that's not the angle that he wants to choose, so quickly going to ult out of there, but the Ash ult already being used. Not going to be able to use that any longer, and listen, they're still waiting for that bubble to come in, and also the ultimate was used by Razer too, so lots of resources being expended towards that early fight. We're not going to be able to use it here in this one. Round number 4, Hill closing in 8 squads here on the map, and we're on board with our Gibby player throwing some early nades. Hopefully get a crack, and maybe they can close the distance on their opponents.
Let's see if Razer have studied up on the VODs from last week as well, because CLG fought their way out of a position much like this just last week in our pro night. Razer seemed to be doing exactly the same, but with the bubble expended a bit early, defensive advantage is going to go to the squad that bubbles second. Razer now losing out on a little bit of momentum, going to have to take the reset behind these rocks instead and trying to lay down a little bit of cover fire. I like the maneuver, but Fearing Live ultimately needs to find an angle more than anything. The Arc Star does connect, Flesh gets found, no knocks coming in just yet, but it's 1 and now 2, now 3 follow. Razer did indeed study up and have very clearly turned that into 3 kills and maybe even an advantage in the rest of the game.
All right, maybe this is Razer's week. My gosh, looking real good in that engagement, but can they keep it going? Because there's still 16 other players on the map outside of them, but with red shields, fully kitted, ammo for days, even going to get themselves a couple nades, and I believe our Valkyrie player has a mobile respawn. They are absolutely kitted, and they're going to have to be if they want to take this #1 spot.
Now, Razer are going to be right next to YFP. You can barely see the ring on your map, but if you can, you want to try and play underneath the swamps area. They've already spotted up. There's another squad they got to keep their eyes on. As it is at this point, all about threat management. Nerf are already playing underneath. However, we got a Valve ult going off on the side. Razer no longer having to worry about this particular squad, but still needing to make their way into ring. Now eating a defensive bombardment directly to the face. Fearing Live goes back to escort Dressip, and the call seems split. What do Razer want to do? Because we've got 3 different players doing 2 different things, and that's not going to work out.
Well, looks like our Gibby player is going to try to close the distance there, but going down to 1 shot into the bubble to try to heal, able to pop a bat, but it looks like our Ashe is going to have to do the same. They're able to reset. As I say that, Fearing Live ends up going down. Bursty now trying to apply some supportive fire from across the map with the R301, but they're going to have to play this as a duo for now, and they are being aped.
Pick a fight with a few too many squads as well. The split call from Razer sends them to an early end in Game 4. But now Nerf from underneath have themselves the opportunity to take the game. Really nice shots as well from Force is setting them up for success. They've got plenty of resources under here. So many squads have fallen to the Nerf powerhouse. And they've got Ring right next door, pulling everybody off the high ground as well.
A nice little 126 damage out of Force, and that wasn't even the Kraber. That was the flatline hitting like that. A position now being revealed. Intel on exactly where Nerf is. Nerf was very comfortable over towards that low ground. They even set up a bit of armor swaps as well. But now it's time for them to take height, and now it's time for them to take action. Here, 5 squads remaining, and they don't want to be the first ones to drop.
Now you do have to be worried as Nerf that you will give up your roof as well. So I'd like to see them prioritize that a bit, make sure that they've got coverage on a squad that may try and just play on top of their heads, securing both teams a spot in the end game. With that Kraber and only 4 bullets in it, Force has to be very selective about what shots he goes for and when. And Ordnance as well, as they've spotted out one squad's trying to flank them, potentially YFP from earlier who would have had that angle. Can't get too aggressive on these pokes just yet.
They're still very comfortable here. Meanwhile, on the kill feed, we are seeing some knocks going on left and right at YFP. The ones, it is a team really right above them, just barely gonna miss that one, does Force. But eventually, those Kraber shots will connect, as not only does he have the difference maker in hands, but he's also pinging and giving that information towards his teammates. How are you liking the position that Nerf have here? Is this where they want to be? Are they gonna have to rotate out of this situation, Dia?
This is a really good spot for them, especially because it should secure them at least 2nd place. But is it amazing? I think not. The cracks, at least initially, will keep Nerf safe, but what you really want is the open space outside of this, because you've got 3 squads fighting in here. 3 of the 5, 2 squads that are out away from any of the cover in these buildings are really going to be the comfortable ones. As Force drops down, does collect at least a lot of damage, but no kills just yet. And now you're fighting with 2 different squads, one of which is knocking on your front door. I love the movement from Force, and I love the fact that Nerf are able to defend, knocking down the Ashe right below them, taking out KWP. In the meantime, we're down to our top 3 squads, but it's YFP that have the god spot right now, with 2 teams that need to come straight to them.
5 kills, 7 assists, and 2K damage. This man about to drop a 3K badge here in tournament play. Kraber in hands, looking to collect an angle on YFP, able to do so. I believe that was only 81. There's no way that was just 81 coming out of a Kraber. My eyes must have seen me.
You know, weirdly enough, you'd think so, but it's because of the Rampart shield. And it broke the Rampart shield, and right? It's kind of crazy. You don't see Rampart that often in comp play, so we get a taste of what Rampart can do. Save you from at least one Kraber shot when you're on exactly the right angle. Let's see, however, if it can win YFP the game, because they do have that extra defensive advantage. Bubble goes down outside. A little bit of a mystery for Nerf as, again, we're seeing them perhaps get split on the call. Wanted to go for these kills. There's only one member left that put them into second place. 2 squads left right now. It's Nerf versus YFP, with Demi taking a 1v3 right now.
Trying to get an angle here as Nerf forced to play a battery on board now with Demi, our Valkyrie player. Definitely the one to force the action, especially with the Volt in hand. And now you see him going in for a flank, and he's starting to take height. I'm not sure if YFP are aware of it, and the shots are starting to ring out. The black hole sucking them in, and now the wingman's out here. Beautifully played by Demi, but also a valuable ult coming out of turns.
It's just ridiculous the way that Nerf take that from literally 1v3ing to hold off YFP on the third party to turning it around and again 1v3ing with a really nice Horizon ult, I will say, to back him up. Demi is the difference maker there, make no mistake, but the rest of the squad had to prop him up to get there, and everybody did really well with Nerf controlling swamps in a way that I have seen very, very few squads do. I think Xset is the only one that I can even think of that almost did what we saw Nerf do today.
That was a full team effort. That was just textbook. The supportive fire from our Gibby player to take the attention off of Demi going in for that flank and taking high ground. You saw him even climbing up on the rocks. They didn't want to do the jetpack too much because that would have gave off too much of an audio cue. And then once he started to ring out those shots with the Volt, that's when the ultimate comes in out of a Horizon player. Turns, dropping that ultimate, sucking everybody in. The timing was off, the pacing was off, and Nerf were just prepared. That just tells me that they are a well-practiced squad. This is not a new composition to them. They played that perfectly and earned game number 4.
Yeah, we saw moments of disjointed play, but ultimately it is just the synergy of this squad that brought them together. Amazed by that and looking forward to what we got with the rest of the games here on Stormpoint. We're going to take a short break and hear what Yeso has to say afterwards.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Etc. I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top bars flavored splash.
It's fruit freshin'.
Nerf putting on an absolute clinic there in Game 4, taking a page out of Intel's book, continually pushing fights, playing aggressive, and racking up the kills. A big performance there for Nerf, and of course we were talking about after Game 2 with that victory from Excedrin that they had jumped up ahead of Nerf in the overall standings, and Nerf trying to correct that here with this performance. So well played from the squad. Let's check out our 4th player of the game tonight. Nerf certainly kicking off the action on Stormpoint here with an absolute banger, and it's going to be turns here. 9 kills, 4 assists, and just short of 1,900 damage. Turns showing up really strong for the team here. Of course, everybody performing really well in this game, but Turns being the catalyst for that certainly shows up in the stats here. So well played from Nerf. Of course, 2 games left to go tonight. We do have to mention we got a lot of looks at Razer in that game as well. It felt like for a long time we were going back and forth between Nerf and Razer because both teams were constantly fighting again and again and again and keeping the action going, and that's certainly awesome to see. Of course, again, Razer, one of those teams trying to catch up, but you know, it's hard to imagine they can do it when Nerf and Excedrin come out and play this well on the same night. Makes it hard for Razer to close that gap, but we'll have to see what they can do. 2 games remaining. Of course, Intel still sitting at the top of the table and feeling very comfortable up there, and they'll have a couple more games here to pad those stats and build on that lead. But Nerf, at the very least, trying to threaten their spot at the top of the Mobile One leaderboard. Of course, again, reminder, it is Razer Week, ladies and gentlemen, so if you're looking to update your setup at home, grab some fresh peripherals, Razer can hook you up. You can grab yourself a Huntsman V2 or Huntsman V2 10 keyless, like are sitting on the table next to me in the studio today over at walmart.com/esports arena. You can round out that setup too with a mouse, right? Grab a headset, Blackshark V2 Pros. Cannot recommend them enough. I use them at work every single day. So again, walmart.com/esports arena. You can pick up all the Razer products you need, as well as products from all of our sponsors here at Series E. So make sure to go check that out. Right now, we're going to a break. When we come back, we get into game number 5.
Refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. They're all our top blast flavored splash.
It's fruit freshin'.
Well, I gotta say, why not? With Game 4 treating us like that, I can't wait for Game 5. The things that we gotta check in, though, before we do, are with that Mobile One leaderboard, especially to see how Nerf have moved themselves coming off of World's Edge and making their big entrance into Storm Point, netting themselves 3rd place with 46 points.
Yeah, not only making their entrance into Storm Point, but making their entrance into the top 3 did Nerf. Intel still holding on to their lead with 79 points. Vizio sitting at that 2nd place. And then you have Razer in the top 4 as well with 36 points. So all partner teams rounding out our top 4. And then finally Lazarus tied up with that 36, but technically in 5th place are them. And now we're going into game number 5. This the nitty gritty, dear. This is when teams, the teams that are within striking distance, they're gonna, try to obviously play for that long game and try to stay alive as much as possible. But if you're on that right side of the leaderboard, you got to make something happen. Maybe you got to change up your play style. Maybe you even got to change up your composition because you got to find points here and now.
One thing I would not change for the world is this Mobile One high performance moment. This was absolutely insane. Some of the most insane play that we saw from Nerf, but I feel like we could have picked almost any of their plays if it weren't for the Volt Beam that opened us up here and the win at the end of it. But with Demi holding down the end game, we really did see all of Nerf come together, because if we think about it, all of Nerf, as we talked about just last game, contributed to that win. Force held down so many angles, turns provided so much utility, and that was throughout all of the mid game and even right here at the end, just making sure that Demi was set up for success on that off angle. We get to see if it'll happen again though, because remember, the oddities of last game were that Vizio and Intel were eliminated surprisingly early. They didn't get the chance to accrue that many points, and that in game 5 we're expecting to change.
And as a hard-stuck diamond Volt crutch, I want to see the Volt back in the ground loop, please. Apex can put it back on the ground. I like it in the care package. It's obvious a nice little buff. It absolutely shreds, but bring it to the ground, okay? Because I get very disappointed when I find myself a gold extended mag and ain't got nothing to put it on.
You just got. We were talking about earlier, man. We gotta get those Havoc turbos up. That gun absolutely slaps. I'm sad we're not seeing more of it, but it is when turbocharge is in the crafter, that's when you got to start picking it up. As Razer do land in a pretty nice spot. I was actually thinking about this a little bit earlier, taking a look at where they were, because I noticed they were landing Lightning Rod just last game. but have clearly identified that there's a little bit more loot on the low ground to take advantage of, and it almost feels like ESA and Pro League to me when they were getting the 3 POIs at the same time. That's kind of what's happening here. Is I don't know what's happening here. Don't ask me. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you if my life depended on it. What just happened?
Oh, I apologize. See, I had blinked, and it was over. I'll
right?
be honest with you. I'm not sure what happened there either. Damn me for blinking. That's on me. I'm gonna get a massive pay cut because of that. Esports Arena is gonna be on top of that. But holy hell, that fight was fast as hell. 19 squads remaining, and Nerf showing why they are one of the most dominant teams in the lobby.
I mean, you already pick up those 3 kills on drop as well. Cascade Falls is normally where I'll go in pubs, but these guys making it look like that, making it look like I wouldn't want to be in pubs with them either. They've already got plenty of loot here, although a lot like Fragment, it isn't quite as nice as it can get around the rest of the map. The important thing about central positions, though, is going to be that rotation. We noticed that Nerf managed to make it to Swamps really early last time, made a nice circle prediction, and it paid off. But I want to see them do that again, and this time, without a beacon spawning right next door to them, things are going to get a little more challenging.
And they do have a team over toward the east side. I believe they have the information that they need, so they're going to quickly take height, as all Valkyrie players do, and absolutely cracking the white shield opposing Valkyrie. Nerf getting the initial damage that they need. That tells me that they need to close the distance. They need to take advantage of the early damage.
It is really difficult to push up towards high ground, though, and that's where we are really going to see Horizon come into play. Taking a look at what Razer found themselves, though, remember they didn't land at Lightning Rod this time around, deciding they would pick up some cursory loot elsewhere, and now they find themselves with a few folks waiting to be taken down here. They do them the favor of removing them from the game, and Razer, again, are another partnered squad to pick up 3 KP.
Razer looking really good at that gunfight, bringing us down to 17 squads here.
I haven't actually seen the Rampart, by the way. I just want everybody to know that. I've seen the Rampart walls everywhere. I have no idea where this Rampart is. There's like one extra person just running around Storm Point, laying down walls, but not actually fighting. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
Well, we need to make sure there's no foul play. Maybe there's somebody, rocking the Wraith that done hack this game to drop Rampart walls as well. I want a scan of the entire game and find out. Make sure that nobody's out here, a little bit of foul play. We see the walls coming, but we haven't seen the Rampart.
Did you ever play that? I don't know if you're a League of Legends gamer, but they had a game mode a while ago where you'd be able to swap out your abilities. It was your summoner spell. You'd use, it doesn't matter what that is, don't worry about it. Basically, you'd get an ability from a different champion that you could use, and it was like a special game mode. I want to see Apex do this, where you can be like Horizon, but with Wraith Q. Or something like that, like you could.
So
can
keep
just
one
mix
alt
and
keep one. That to me, oh man, you gotta take something from Gibby, but that would be tough.
I got this. Are you ready?
Okay, all right.
It's Gibby, but with Rampart ult.
Oh, you're disgusting.
That would be hilarious, actually. Imagine it'd be like the Heavy from TF2.
I'm thinking Gibby with Valkyrie's jetpack.
Oh my!
Just see the thickness in the air, bro. Just flying at you, arm shield, bubble, and jetpack.
I love it. That would be absolutely beautiful. We're gonna have to see if we can convince our friends over at EA to code and nightmare into their game and get ourselves a flying Gibby. For now, though, I'd settle for some gravity cannon play, as Nerf are pretty nearby. They will have the opportunity to make use of that, but instead are going to be playing a little bit further north, trying to opt into high ground, and are likely going to encounter Razer, who should be coming from that height and trying desperately to hang on to it for their best shot at the game.
And it looks like Nerf going to be taken to the high ground here. Obviously kitted out. They got their ultimate for our Gibby players, so if anybody wants to try to get a little froggy, they can definitely battle them out. Nerf have been looking real good on Storm Point. Let me tell you, ever since Game 4, they've been lights out, and even getting an early win on that gunfight, that 3v3 gunfight earlier, netting them a decent amount of KP right off the rip. So at this point, Nerf got the KP. At this point, I think they can really play for the long great game. That's exactly what they're doing. They're even starting to craft here on the onto the base.
Yeah, replicating that success, if you'll forgive the small pun, is really going to be important to them, especially because they have a beacon right next door. The optimal play almost seems to be for Nerf to hold on here, replicate as much as they would like, get themselves some shield bats, but most importantly, tank that zone for just a little bit longer so they have a little more data than other teams will have. We talked about this a little bit at the start of the show, but a lot of the success that teams find on Stormpoint is through God spots, way more than it is on World's Edge, and a lot of that has to do with the height disparities that get created in these end games. I'd like to see Nerf take a little bit of time, get a little bit more information, so they can accurately predict, or more accurately than most teams, predict where they think that God spot is going to be and prioritize their positioning accordingly.
And then when it comes to those individual gunfights, I think they just keep doing exactly what they were, allowing Dimmy to angle teams out, going in for those weak side flanks. Meanwhile, Force does a great job of providing that cover fire and making sure that he has to be dealt with. And then once they feel comfortable, they drop that Horizon ultimate, and at that point just rain down the nades and just make your opponent as uncomfortable as possible, not allowing them any time to breathe. Meanwhile, YFP not able to breathe either, having to use the Verizon Q into the zip, but ends up running into a whole nother team. YFP getting out of one situation and right into the arms of another, and that's gonna be Team Razer.
That is amazing. I thought they were going to hold on to the high ground. I thought they were going to go down from Lightning Rod into Stormcatcher, but instead, they scaled the other side of the map, running down through wall, taking not only us, but the teams below them off guard. We get yet another knock right next door. Splash found themselves some kills, and it looks like that's because the ring is taking us pretty darn far north. Take a look at that green circle on the map of Splash in the upper right. We've got a zone that is likely pulling into no man's land right next door, and if Splash can hold on to this, they have got an excellent place in endgame. All right, Prowler, hello.
Splash also rocking that Valkyrie, Gibby, and Horizon composition, so that's getting really a lot of play here in with your partner squads here in Series E, as Intel having the same exact composition. We've seen how that's played out for them, and Nerf doing the same as well. Meanwhile, the Thermite getting maximum amount of value. Crack, 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 crack. That team's going down.
That was death. It happened. It's done. It's over already. Intel already have 3 kills, almost all in the same place as well. Chocolate Milk did not get a fighting chance.
Sad to see. Let me tell you. Chocolate Milk, my favorite team in the lobby right now. I could go for some Chocolate Milk at the moment, but so clearly so can Intel, because they definitely ended that one quickly. Down to 14 squads, 37 players on the map, and Intel very comfortable getting aggressive, very comfortable with playing edge, and we're going to see if they can find yet another team to feast on.
Even Series E is what on earth? I have never seen that before. Even in Series E, I was going to say, landing over by Mill is not where you want to be. Whether Esports Arena is in the lobby or whether we're just at Esports Arena, it's definitely carnage. You do not challenge any plays over by Mills. We got to see this animation one more time. Again, I don't understand. There's a cow. I didn't know this was possible.
That's not a cow. If you mess with the bull, you get the horn. That's a bull.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You're right. You're right. I'm so. Oh my god. My lack of knowledge of animal anatomy is showing.
It's not an alligator, it's a crocodile, as Lazarus looking at Kane and Ben. Lazarus switching up their composition, having a Loba as well. Every time I see a Loba, I got to spot him out, but keeping Valkyrie and Gibby for those rotations, and it's crazy how heavy Valkyrie is played right now. She's always been a valuable character, but at some point during, I guess during the beginning of this season, it was that Valkyrie constant Gibby composition, and we never let go of Valkyrie. It almost feels like every team is running one at this point.
Yeah, especially on Stormpoint, it is something that can provide you a lot of value, even more so than on World's Edge, but at the same time, that value is so much more swingy. When you're valking from the low ground, she's actually really not that good, because often you don't get to cover that much space. It's teams that end up landing up by height, things like High Point, Lightning Rod, Wall even, Cliffside Depot, Stormcatcher, they're the teams that get a lot of value out of running Valkyrie, and I like that we are experimenting a little bit, but this sort of staying presence that the Legend has had so far this season, perhaps not nearly as required as you would have it believed. Although, I suppose if you're Act, you can really run any Legend, and as long as you're beaming like that, you're going to win.
Yeah, and once he takes that 2x off of the wingman, he'll really be popping off as Jelly has the right idea. H-Cog chasing the Valkyrie down, but let me tell you, Valkyrie real fast, getting out of the situation, most likely going to have to rat it out a bit, but ends up being caught, still alive, and there we go. Finally, Splash able to find the pick. Beautifully played, but hold on. Hold on. We got a Tomcat Rat Cam here. And let me tell you, the camouflage into the ground. I'm liking this play here.
And it's I think if I'm reading this right, it's not just one rat, it's two, maybe three right now? No, okay, it's just the two. This is kind of wild. We don't often see a duo of rats, but I gotta say, I am really liking the angle right now. Foliage on Stormpoint, and another thing that is incredibly powerful in the right situation.
I'm just waiting for one team to just like run right past them and just pounce on them.
Yeah.
Just into the cheeky plays that you can make there. Meanwhile, Nerf at the edge of the storm here. I love this position. They have height, they have cover here. They're at a position that's going to be very hard for any team to try to get them out of. I'm liking where Nerf is at now. I'm not liking the blue shields as we're falling into round about halfway through round number 3. Hopefully they're able to upgrade that. But I mean, Dimmy's only 26 damage away from upgrading the ELO, but taking some won't add to it as he's gonna have to back down to collect a bit of a different angle.
Now, if you watch Pro League, you'll recognize that Nerf are sitting in where Torrent normally like to play, holding down this building off on the side. We've actually seen teams like All Glory try and opt into this as well, and it's for good reason. This provides you a lot of control over anybody who wants to pass in and out of wall, while also giving you a good enough angle that's close enough to the wall itself that you can Valk over. However, with no crypto this time around, as a lot of teams will like to run, you don't get nearly as much scouting into who is below you, and that might lead Nerf into a trap if they try and overcommit.
Well, it looks like Nerf actually recognizing that, so they're actually going to like to give up this position and going in for an early rotate with a minute and 16 seconds on the clock, a bit early here, but they want to find their next god spot. Instead, going to run into a ratting team. Early bubble going to go down, but Dimmy getting absolutely cracked and down to one shot, eventually hunted down. The arcs are going to fly in to try to deny access away, but Razer really ratting things out, playing it well, and end up getting at least one knock and are looking to find some more.
And that is exactly what I was talking about. As we said it, it comes true. Not being able to get the scouting onto the low ground, you get a little too cheeky. And the multiple angles from Razer do spell doom, at least for the one member. As Demi does end up going down, our clutcher from just last game, but Razer are trying to make it their week. And honestly, at this point, knowing that they've taken down the Valkyrie, have every right to do so, because Zone 3 is coming in, and you've got to either push into Razer or likely die.
Gibby still holding on to that 30-30, and they did make a little bit of a difference with that Shatter Caps this time. You know, back in the early Shatter Caps days, you had to change the manual output to change it to the shotgun mode or to the long distance single fire mode. Not this time. This time, if you shoot it from the hip, it has that shotgun-like shell burst, and if you aim down the sights, it automatically fires the single if you have shatter caps put on. So really interesting with the 30-30. I haven't got the chance to mess around with it too much myself, but I'm happy to see it being put to use. Meanwhile, Excedrin putting their guns to use. Not in the best position possible, but they're getting knocks, they're getting slays, and it looks like they're about to thirst this one.
This is the place as well that we talked about earlier that provides you some really excellent position in most end games that do pull towards this area. So I like that Excedrin are prioritizing it and fighting even for their chance to retain it uniquely. Lazarus, the squad that they end up wiping out as well, previously holding up in the bubble buildings to the north. But Excedrin aren't done here. They didn't take nearly enough damage in that fight to stop them from taking pokes, and I like that Enemy continues the pressure on other squads, letting them know that Excedrin are indeed healthy enough to take another fight, so you better not third party it. That sort of signal sending that will ultimately keep them safe. They try and hopefully farm up some kills off of some other squads that are fighting. It seems that it is Vizio that are taking advantage of the recently crippled Nerf squad. Pick up those last 2 kills and now find themselves all the way off in the, what is this, east of the circle.
Enemy trying to become the main protagonist in this story here. 7 squads remaining, 17 players on the map, and I'm looking at knocks on the feet. I think it was Vizio that were able to find some picks that bring us down to 7 squads, or maybe just 1 slay away from actually bringing us down to just 1. Meanwhile, Intel, early Q coming in. It looks like they're being denied access here toward the choke point, and they're being held out, Dia.
It's Intel versus Vizio. I'm almost 100% sure right now, which is crazy when we think of the position that Vizio just put themselves in. Now having to take the fight against Intel, it makes it a lot more questionable as to whether they'll actually make it in towards this final circle, because Intel have been absolutely... Again, where is this rampart? Where is it? I don't understand. I don't know what's happening anymore. Intel know what's going on. They know that they've got an advantage, or at least they think they've got an advantage. With a rampart in the game, who knows? But the fact is, take it on Vizio. I guess we'll see how this ends up turning. I'm so tilted that I don't know where she is.
It's funny, the more walls we see, the more random they are, the less we actually believe that there really is a rampart on the map and somebody is committing some foul play. Q comes in, the bubble goes down to avoid it, and it looks like Intel are going to start to get aggressive. The card comes in, finding 1, ends up going down. Beautifully played, as that's going to be a quick wipe going in favor of Intel. They're one of the highest firepower squads that we have in the lobby, and you see why. They win their gunfights, and they do it fast.
And after the dominance from Vizio in the early end of the season, Intel have clearly taken that to heart, because seeing them come up like this and be able to not just take games away, but take individual 3v3s away from Vizio is something else entirely. We've got a bubble going down for the meantime. Razer are getting one of their squaddies right back into the game, at least you would hope, if we can find an actual respawn.
Wait, what are the...
I don't think they have enough room for it. I'm not sure what's happening. There we go. Finally got it coming in. Bubble has expired though, so this is a little bit more risky, especially with Valk Q coming down. Fearing Live does pop up right afterwards, so it doesn't get taken down instantly by that small bit of damage. Heal's going to come in. Fearing Live is going to get right back in the game, but we're down to our top 4 squads, and remember, Intel have yet to join this party.
Still on board with Drez, 30-30 in hands, gonna switch boards with a Bursty, who also has the R301, but very limited ammo, only 88 in the back pocket here, so has to pick wisely who he's gonna be able to commit on, and I believe I saw a bit of a disconnect going on the screen. Hopefully that was just an observer glitch, as Razer pinging left and right. They're saying they're prioritizing this team right over here, and they know that they can't just angle them out. They have to get into the fight, so early bubble goes in, and it looks like Fear of Life just a little bit behind, but finally gets back into the action. 1 gonna quickly go down. Valkyrie gonna join them, and that's gonna bring us down to 3 squads, Dia.
Very smart play as well, knowing that Excedrin couldn't possibly give up the spots they had. Instead, though, hearing that, Excedrin have chosen to try and take on Intel, and it is a close 3v3 with both teams desperately trying to heal up. Excedrin actually ultimately end up backing off. Mobile cover still in control of Intel, and they will have that bubble as well in order to keep this car a little bit safer should they choose to try and maneuver the Trident into the end game circle with that cooldown. But Razer are taking the off angle right now, have center of ring, and are going to try and edge guard Intel in the one move that could take the squad out.
That Trident not even used for movement, but also for cover as well, as Fearing Live catching the angle towards a player, trying to overextend and angle them out. Razer quickly pinging the back rock, wanted to get into this position. This is going to be their defensive position, but a bubble forced out of Drez. He's going to try to heal out, but the Spitfire's still with the hands of fear, and it looks like someone taking to the skies very early here. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to be able to land, but they have to. I mean, they're going to demand attention as they're floating around the map. 3 squads remaining, and they're actually going to land exactly where they were.
I guess it's scouting on. For a God spot, you don't get the God spot. I suppose we're all right. What it has done, though, is open up the map pretty significantly because Razer committed a lot of attention to that. And now Exeged are angling on them, already taken out 2 members. Bursty may go down as well, and we're going to get a straight-up 3v3 in the end as it's Exeged versus Intel.
And once the Gibby player goes down, they knew they did not have any access towards a bubble, so a quick ultimate gonna come in, and now we're in a 3v3, and it looks like Slurp is deciding to get aggressive. 38 on the player with red, and they're about to close the distance. Bubble goes in for themselves as they're closing the gap.
Dude, Fearless is sitting out here 1v3. Mooney and Slurpee, they gotta go. They gotta do it now. Slurpee again, trying to take this weird angle, trying to find the initial knock. Doesn't quite get it, but Fearless is the one that ends up finding the first one onto Lee with just cruising left. The 1v3 seems almost impossible at this point, and the shots from Slurpee make it so. We've got our second win for Intel on the day. 1 on World's Edge, now 1 on Storm Point.
My man Jay Skippy in the chat, he referred to Intel's pressure as toxic pressure. That's the kind of pressure that they apply on enemy teams, and I think that's probably one of the only ways to describe it. Intel have one game plan. It's play fast, play fast, play fast, and you know, when all else fails, you play fast.
It's true, you gotta go. They have got some really crazy mechanical talent behind them, and it has definitely been demonstrated in these games. Though they fell short just in Game 4, Game 5 is already a really big pickup story for them, and having been lagging a little bit behind recently, I think that they're finally going to be able to pull ahead. I'm just kidding, they've been in first this whole time, and now maybe they'll break 100 points because we're pretty darn close to the end of the day. We've got 1 game left to find out if Intel can collect themselves another win, maybe break that 100 marker, but we'll find out with those Mobile 1 leaderboards when we get back. Well, apparently the odd-numbered games belong to Intel tonight. They kicked off the night with a second-place finish in 25 kills. Game number 3 was the win for Intel with 22 kills. And now here in Game 5, they return to the top of the podium with another big victory. Let's check out our player of the game here. We'll see if maybe Mooney can grab it this time around to round out the team. No, it's going to be Slurpee. Circling back around for his second player of the game tonight. 7 kills and 3 assists. Not as huge as the 12 kills that we saw from Slurpee in Game 1, but still 7 and 3 there with just short of 2,000 damage is another just really good game here from Slurpee G and the squad, and Intel absolutely frying tonight. I don't know that they're going to be able to break their record that they set a couple of weeks ago, but at the very least, they're putting up another very, very strong showing. They're going into Game 6 in complete control of the leaderboard. I don't even have to know how many points they got in that one. They've got a sizable lead. They've been playing very, very well tonight, and really
almost all of the Series E squads playing well tonight. Excedrin's got a win under the belt. So does Nerf. Razer's been looking really good. They got another top 3 in that game. Vizio looks solid to start off the night, and we've even seen a couple of good fights from Splash. So really, the 6 Series E teams showing up strong here tonight, and it's awesome to see these late circles where multiple of those teams are duking it out, because of course Excedrin finished in 2nd place in this one. But it is Intel's night so far. Of course, Razer still showing up strong. We're going to go to a break right now. When we come back, the final game of the night here. We'll see if Intel can close it out on another dub.
Versus coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so close for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Let's go.
Etc. I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
We've got one game left, why not? One more game to decide it all, and, well, if it's not already decided, because let's take a look at those mobile and leaderboards just to see how far ahead Intel are. I know it's Razer week, but my god, 108 points! They've already cracked 100!
Man, dude, you must be really good at math. I mean, you knew Intel were in the #1 spot before we even saw the leaderboard. I mean, clearly you on point with this one as
Crunching
Intel in that #1 spot. Vizio, though, 65 points in your 2nd place. Razer right behind them. It is Razer week. We can't have them outside the top 354, but Nerf just 2 points behind them. And Excedrin going to put us 5 in a row as far as partner teams go.
Taking a look at the Mobile 1 high-performance moment, though, it is no surprise to see that it was the Intel versus Vizio fight, with the Ghost Rampart showing up, lending Vizio a helping hand. Even that could not stop the onslaught of Intel, as from downhill, from the low ground, they made this fight look so easy, not dropping a single member. And you gotta wonder at it. Let's take a look at it again and just see, because this was likely where Slurpee started to build up that player of the game title that he got.
Yeah, Intel, they're so hard to deal with. They simply win all their individual gunfights, and they do it as a unit. I mean, I would not want to go up against Intel in any way, shape, or form. They're too fast, and they're just simply too efficient. As you see them making quick work of a very strong Vizio team. This is a Vizio's team that can go toe-to-toe with almost anybody in the lobby. But Intel eventually closing the distance. The car starts to hit, get that height once again, and just rip out shots left and right.
I don't know if there's even a better way to contextualize this. This is a Vizio squad that's in the Pro League. Like this is actually a pro team, and it makes me really excited for what we're going to get to see tomorrow on Pro Night. But before we get to that, we have to see if Intel can spank the lobby once more, because we are dropping into our 6th and final game of Series E Open Night here in Razer Week. We've got a big void left to fill, and hopefully we can do so with a lot of kills.
We're hot dropping in for the last time, and D, it's kind of bittersweet because I've been enjoying every moment with you, man. I haven't casted Apex in quite some time, but this has been an absolute pleasure. My first time actually even casting on Stormpoint. I will say I wasn't a fan coming in, but I think it ain't too bad. Watching these semi-pros go at it, I've been really enjoying it. I'm definitely picking up some tricks that I'm gonna bring into the pub's playlist.
Yeah, it's an exciting map. I do really like the way that terrain ends up interacting with the end game, and I know that can be really trying for some teams, but even though I think at the start of the season, a lot of the pro teams were on the same page as you going, I really don't know how I feel about this. We're also seeing the adaptations start to come in from squads at every single level, and especially our partnered squads that have taken jumps, leaps, and bounds forward since the debut of Stormpoint in Series E. Their play has really leveled up, and I'm excited to see their continued growth even as we are starting to close out our season. Intel, the winners of last game, and perhaps even the winners of this one, if they could play their cards right, are dropping over by barometer. A surprising place to have not seen a ring pull just yet. It is going to be going a little bit further north.
And it looks like these two members of Intel are going to be rocking the wingman as the early pings go at it for his teammates. And I see some firing going at it, so I'm not sure if there's a player, they're shooting spiders trying to get the loot. You don't even know nowadays. But meanwhile, Spacey of Ironic definitely finding a player, and the thermite landing right on the white shields and might have gotten the crack on that one. Carr in the front pocket and Eva in the back as Spacey is looking to take height.
This is really good angles as well, since you've got somebody on height. However, having dropped Spacey already, Slopes is a little bit late on the pickup and now has to play out the 2v2, maybe make it a 2v1 as Vatari also going low, throws down the Gibby bubble, doesn't get inside it, instead dropping to the low ground is likely going to be taken out. Excellent execution from Razer. They slide in for those slick kills.
I mean, we've been talking about how good Intel are with finishing their fights as fast as possible. Razer reminding us not to forget about them. They're definitely a squad to be reckoned with. Carr and Wingman in the hands of our Ash. We know that's a deadly combination. And actually, I think I just noticed we swapped out the Carr for a Rampage. And that Rampage, very good at long range. But when you thermite it up, oh, that thing's
basically a car, right?
It's a car that can shoot doors down.
Exactly. This thing's ridiculous. Rampage really does go crazy on Stormpoint as well. I know that we do still see a lot of it on World's Edge, but a lot of the power of the Rampage does come with that ranged ability, and being able to lay down a 3x on that and beam folks from a million miles away is going to be especially useful over by Launchpad, which is where our zone is pulling. There is the chance that this goes up towards the swamps as well, a lot like we saw in Game 4, but I'm more inclined to say that the team that actually holds Launchpad proper should have a really nice spot inside of not just Zone 2, but Zone 3 and maybe 4.
And I'm seeing on the top left-hand corner of the map here, we actually do see a bit of engagement. I believe it's Razer once again getting into the fight, as an ult is going to early come out of the Ash, and our Gibby plants are not only going down but also being thirsted out. So Razer forced to get out of dodge, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to wrap back to get that banner. They might be playing the rest of the game as a duo, and that's highly unfortunate because Razer were definitely, I know they were in that top 3 and even contending for second place, because we know Intel had a nice little lead.
and you know, they knew the risks as well as we did, because take a look at where they are versus where they would regularly position. This is a squad that's been dropping in places like Lightning Rod and Thunderwatch. They went North Pad for a reason. That reason was that they wanted kills. Now, however, they are being hunted down by what I believe is Splash. They're going to have to fight things out in the 2v3 if they want even a chance at recovering their teammate. I believe Trident is available and actually being piloted at the moment by Fearing Live, but with the squad a little bit split up, things are difficult. They are struggle street for Razer.
Yeah, with the Trident hands, I'm sure they'll be able to regain at least with each other. I can't say the same for Gibby as that banner is almost out. Meanwhile, Chocolate Milk started to mix things up here. Carr already out, already thirsting one player, and wow, quick fight going in. Chocolate Milk looking good, and you know, for all the Loba mains out there, they doing it for all of us.
Exactly. Thank God for Loba mains is really what we're preaching out here. Chocolate Milk completely unfazed though, just sprinting through this open territory, going Lobas be darned. If there are any others, they're gonna have to fight Cobra for the title of scariest Loba at the moment. Just running up towards the height as well. Chocolate Milk are definitely taking quite a few risks exposing themselves like this for the additional 2 kills.
Lazarus decided to get real creative with the bubble, chucking it on top of the Trident. So not only are they able to get that movement in, but they also had cover as well. 2 players with purple shield, one kind of sitting behind with the white, but we already know with that black market boutique, she'll be able to find herself some blue very soon. And man, Vize finding some damage with the wingman. And you know, that digital threat, a lot of players are afraid to put the digital threat on the wingman. Let me tell you, it ain't bad.
No, it's quite good. I'm a digi user myself whenever I can, especially in a map like Stormpoint where you do see a lot more Bangalore. It's really nice. We've actually already gotten a taste of Bangalore today. That was a crazy nade though. Chocolate Milk somehow sniffed this out. They've got, or rather, have been sniffed out rather, as they are playing way up on the high ground and are actually getting naded out. We'll see if they're able to survive. This is a wild place to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chocolate Milk is sitting there. Like, how did they know? Like, how did they know I was up there? But still, excellently played. One quickly, actually all quickly going down here for T-Sin. Chocolate Milk bringing us down to 16 squads here. Beautifully played.
The ambush play really working out for them. And on height, it's only going to get better. I think perhaps the concern that you have is that it is a lot more difficult to rotate into ring from a spot like this, especially if it pulls even in towards swamps with all this open ground. So taking advantage of the fact that we are just in Zone 1, we've only got 16 squads left, so team density is not that high just yet. They're going to return to what they believe to be God's spot and hope to God that it is unoccupied. Chocolate Milk have their Black Market Boutique there, and assuming this hasn't been taken, they're likely going to try and sit here for at least one more zone, though, again, I'm reiterating this, I don't suspect that the zone is actually coming here.
Yeah, Chocolate Milk definitely an interesting place. I believe they were in 11th place, and obviously want to put as many points on the board, but they can't get too aggressive, overextend into a bad situation.
Oh my god!
And
it's our Rampart!
AOG, the team that qualified through the local esports arena event. AOG, we finally found the Rampart.
You could not have made me happier. Playing a Rampart and qualifying through a local esports arena, this team literally sings directly to my heart. But I do wonder if they've actually got what it takes to take the 3v3 right below them, because while they do have a lot of defensive walls, while they do have a lot of safety right now, what they don't have is a whole lot of members that can take angles. Instead, they're getting angled on. Willingly, takes a lot of damage. Arc stars are coming out. No escape for the fuse will go down. You're going to hope those nades are enough. Out comes the Rampart gun, though, and Sheila's doing a lot of work. Finding one knock, maybe finding a second. Disposable walks up and will be able to grab this banner along with his teammate. They'll be able to get this kill as well, and hopefully pop the respawn right above them. I see no reason not to at this point.
And you know what? The AOG rocking the Rampart, I believe when they qualified, they actually had to do it through arenas, to my knowledge. And, you know, Rampart definitely gets a lot of value in arenas. So, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how they got here. Might as well put it back to work. However, they're definitely in some trouble right now. Chocolate Milk are looking to raise some help, but the ultimate bombardment coming in. Chocolate Milk looking to take some cover, losing their Gibby player in added, and they still have some teams to worry about. There's a third-party situation coming in. Luckily, they found enough time to pull off the revive. But just as I say that, there's a Valkyrie breaking in, looking to grief this team, and he ends up getting the slays. That's Fat Fruit Ninja, the kill leader.
No way did he pull that off! AOG are living on a dream right now! Disposable may still be able to be rezzed, but some enemies in the distance are going to make it a little bit more difficult. You hope to God that you're not spotted, but Fat Fruit Ninja isn't going to take the chance just yet. Instead, backing off. Rez did not come in on willingly earlier, so especially if you can grab the banner through this window, you can actually get out. AOG, they could still live this.
Fat Fruit Ninja coming out clutch when it matters most. We got a lot of AOG fans in the chat as Fat Fruit Ninja grabbing both of the banners and then quickly ulting out down to 13 squads. Our kill leader currently ratting it out and trying to find a way to get his teammates back into the game.
This is crazy. The story for AOG continues, and it is, I've never had a Tomcat rat cam that I believed in more. However, there is a problem ring's starting to close away from that Fruit Ninja. And if you do res your teammates outside of the zone, you won't have that many heals available to you. You already know that Stormcatcher has been looted up. I do wonder whether this is actually going to be a move that pays off for them, but it's a risk you got to take. Game 6, baby, let's go.
Only 15 seconds until that hill's going to start to close in. It takes about 5 seconds to get the res off, so teammates going to be coming in. They might take a bit of storm damage, but I mean, they might have some time to make it, and I'm believing. I mean, I'm an AOG believer, and not only are they confident they're going to be able to get their teammates in and get into the hill, but they also are taking the time out to get that intel on where the storm is going.
This is actually pretty nice. Again, if they can get some good loot right now, and I honestly don't mind this move with that Fruit Ninja to try and grab some for his teammates. There's even a replicator up here. You could make some med kits. You could, yeah, this is an AOG angle, actually. They're doing quite well. Intel, on the other hand, already in a fight, do have to actually outlast. They are benefiting from the Rampart walls, or Ghost Rampart from earlier. AOG still influencing the rest of the game, but Fearless is the one just slapping Nerve across the face with the wingman. An excellent play from them, and now jumping down to the low ground. You've got to expect that Intel is going to be able to take this. Surely they can. They get another knock on Nerf, but Slurpee goes down. Fearless is eating a nade, and a shield that may not be enough to keep Intel in this game. It has been a very quick swing around. First, going to come in just in time. Red shields for Fearless. Shield bat still available as he tries desperately to reset.
That's really tough. A Horizon main getting caught with a little taste of her own medicine as the ult coming in and really throwing Intel out for a loop. We have Mooney and Slurp quickly going down, and Fearless, no man left behind. Maybe he can come back and try to pull off a slay here. A player coming in, and it's not an actual PvP, it's a Prowler coming in, trying to grief Fearless. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it through the players and the Prowlers. He might be playing this out as a rat of his own.
That's an Esports Arena PvE angle if I've ever seen one. We gotta get some Prowler record setting. How fast can you clear a Prowler nest? And well, a lot of people are really excited about that one. However, with Fearless able to at least survive it, he's moving up to the high ground. Remember that AOG may still be coming from, so though you're back to the ring, you're not actually safe.
Fearless dropping down. Shot starting to ring out, but not able to connect just yet. Looking to collect a bit of a new angle, though. Peacekeeper definitely hitting, taking on the Gibby head-to-head. One shot in, utilizing the bubble, 1v1 gunfight. He has to avoid the Valkyrie Q coming in as he's able to take down one. A quick armor swap should come into play as we have a new kill leader with YFP in an engagement of their own. Peacekeeper shot starting to rip. Oh, but looks like someone else trying to get involved.
Dude, Fearless is crazy right now. Finding these kills. He's 1v3 against YFP. He's already found one knock and may very well be able to take the other two, but Vizio, another squad that is cracked out of their minds, are finding a squad to fight even in the meantime. Over by Antenna, they've collected 2 kills and now have just 1 more. Something tells me, though, the third party coming in, this fight is far from over.
That it is, especially as a Valkyrie coming out of nowhere, trying to get maximum value. Damage coming in. Vizio looking to play this a bit slow and cheeking out damage onto that doorway, but finally a Gibby player wants to be the forward player, wants to get involved, and wants up the tempo and the charge rifle being ever so annoying onto the south side.
Yeah, this is a tough angle, but ooh, Fury's gonna get angled on right now. He didn't know it, but we saw it with our highlights in the spectator client. Bubble is nicely used. You do need this res, though, but it's a 2v2 for right now. First, he gets caught by the Arcstar and can't actually push, cannot cancel. As a result, it's going to be yet another 2v3 set up, and Razer are slowly corralled into their deaths on this low ground. They've got no choice but to try and take the fight, but it isn't going to be enough. Razer end up going out. Now the question is, can they hold on to their third place spot? Because Vizio have just taken them out of the game.
This is big for Vizio. They need to take advantage of the 7 squads remaining at the moment and 21 players on the map. So that means everybody is fully loaded, and Vizio need the intel. They need to see things clearly with their beautiful Vizio monitors. So they're going to take to the skies and utilize a Valkyrie's passive to try to gain that intel. Vizio, I mean, this is their game. This is their game to crack into the top 2. It's all on them from here on out.
Check out this spot that they're dropping in, though, because this is an end game that Vizio have seen before. A lot of zones have pulled over to these rocks, giving you ultimate height in end game, and that's something that you're trying to go for right now. AOG, in the meantime, trying to go for a fight, do end up leaving the game to Excedrin, but they've already survived for so long that we got to give them props for doing so. They tried to find their way in. They made it all the way to Launchpad. They made it into our top 7 squads. Just couldn't go quite far enough. I look forward to seeing them in the next couple of open nights, hopefully, though.
Oh, for sure. Team Excedrin entering that fight with 3 players in blue shields and emerging with one with red and another with purple. So obviously very well eluded here is Excedrin as they're looking to set up some armor swaps. So that tells me that they're very comfortable with their positioning. They like where they're at. They're going to defend this at least for the time being. We're down to 6 squads. It's round 4 hill closing in about a minute, and Excedrin are looking to take the win.
They might genuinely be able to do it from this position. We've yet to have the next ring revealed to us, although somebody over here should know Launchpad does have a beacon inside of it. But even now, the limits are going to be tested of each of these squads to maneuver their way into a win, especially Excedrin if the zone doesn't pull to them, because there's a lot of empty space in between them and where we'd expect the ring to go. What I will say, though, is they've at least gotten lucky with this next pull. I gotta say, I like it. They got height. This is good. This is an Excedrin angle.
Got ourselves a bandit out there.
Could find their second win today, even.
And Excedrin not only comfortable with their positioning here, defensive position onto this building, but they caught the Loba ult over towards the northwest side, so they have the information that somebody's there, and now they definitely have it as somebody stealing right from the box in front of Lee. And this is about the 3rd team here, so there's definitely some play coming around here as teams are starting to come in. The problem is that we're going into round 5. There's not enough spots for all of these rosters to stick in. We're going to go down from 6 to about 3 squads very quickly here, as it looks like Lee is looking to create some different angles here with the Trident, going to be able to use it as cover. A team decided to land very close to them. That might be a mistake because Excedrin are looking to fight.
Okay, so this is a weird way to play it, but I respect what's happening because you've landed with a Valkyrie on the other side of this hill. Lazarus, however, they already smelled out this camp land. They're already going for it. Now, having to fight Lazarus from low ground, you may very well go out. They're the ones that have the opportunity to play this out in the end game, getting the Valk ult over. With the Horizon ult already down in front of you, the Singularity is buying a little bit of time, a little bit of space between you and Lazarus. Still is not looking too much better. Bubble goes down. You know that means that Lazarus know they've got this fight in the bag. Turn around, take out YFP, and now move us into the top 5 with a kill leader for Dank.
Lazarus are the real deal, and they're definitely within striking distance of making that top 4, dare I say even top 2, and hey, one hell of a game, and maybe they could steal that first place away from Intel. Vizio taking to the skies, catching some cheeky angles, and now the nades are starting to rain down here. Oh, the Devo with the turbo, getting max amount of value, hitting shots left and right, gonna switch over to the Peacekeeper, quickly going down, and we're down to 4 squads, and we have a new kill leader, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Scissors.
We just keep getting more and more hype. At this rate, we're going to arrive with a 3v3 in our end game. But make no mistake, Gas Station Gaming are also looking for their second win, and they're still in it as well. Excedrin have the opportunity to double up on wins, moving themselves potentially into the top 3. The stakes are still incredibly high, and there are only 30 seconds left before all of these teams are crammed into a space so small that you couldn't legally rent it.
Pings left and right because Vizio still have to get in the action. They still have to find the spot, and they're going to have to either take out Excedrin, or push over toward the middle. I'm not sure exactly what Vizio are going to play towards this angle to try to get involved in this hill. Like you said, it's getting smaller and smaller, and there's no way that all of these teams can fit into it. There's 12 players on the map. Everybody is fully loaded at the moment, and Vizio having no other choice but to Valk ult, and it looks like there's a team that also has that same idea in mind. So It's going to be very important. Where does the first team land? Where do Visual land? What's going on here, Dia?
Oh my god, Vizio, are they actually just dropping on top of Excedrin right now? What could their plan possibly be? Are they going to play inside? Gas Station Gaming have got to be fighting them for this as well, but Excedrin pop out from the low ground, taking 2 members off of Vizio for right now and leaving Scissors, the only defending member, bubbled right below them, but it isn't going to be enough for Scissors to be able to get a bat off. There are now 2 members on top, but Excedrin may go out as well. They've got so many people jumping on top of them. The enemy is lucky just to have survived, but we still got 4 squads despite losing members. Everybody's still in this.
Gas Station Game able to clear house here. Still down to 4 squads, but there is a rat in the game. And now we have Gas Station Gaming looking to keep the space for the team right behind us. A little bit of a cake going on here with 3 different squads. And it looks like someone looking to say hello catches a couple of wingman shots right to the jaw as everybody is fighting within this cake. We're going to be going down to 1 squad very soon here, Dia.
We get a breather once again, but man, oh man, it is difficult for me to catch my breath right now. Gas Station do have to worry about the team on the height most of all. No defensive bombardment to keep themselves alive, but instead, they send Icy up to fish this out, and I like the moves. Gas Station could very well go for this. It's very difficult to third party on the roof, and as a result, they end up collecting some kills. Still 4 squads, but 3 very soon, especially if they find Scissors right now, is already, they've got the angles on him. Nice cracks come through the shield swap, just enough to keep Scissors alive. And the mobile red's not going to connect for him. We're down to 3 squads right now as Scissors and Vizio leave us, but Gas Station are not done yet, wanting to make it 2.
Gas is able to wipe out a squad here, so now it's only 2 squads remaining. Liga to try to come into the action. Beautiful wingman shot. However, our Gimme player's gonna go down.
Oh my
Rambo
God.
looking to armor swap, but he's gonna have to pull off the 1v2. Excedrin still having 2 players alive. Rambo takes some heavy damage, forced to go out. Thirsting left and right. It's a 1v2 situation. Rambo decides to get aggressive, runs into the Peacekeeper shots, and that's gonna be it. Excedrin making a statement. This was their building from the get-go. They held it down, taking our last and final game.
That was a ridiculously well-played endgame by Excedrin as well. We talked about how everybody was getting chunked out, and they made the right call, exiting the building, exiting the god spot that they knew everyone was going to be fighting for, letting it happen, and then coming in a 2 versus 3 situation, taking the fight by storm. We call back to that military discipline that Excedrin have, and you see it pay off right here because their timing is immaculate, and they do fight together even when it's only as a 2-man.
And now that's going to throw a wrench in the scoreboard. That's a curveball right there. Excedrin winning that game might be able to propel them to the top 2, maybe the first place. I don't remember what exactly happened with Intel towards that game or where they were able to drop, but they made it quite some time as they were looking to hold on to that first place. This leaderboard is about to be cracked out. I don't know what's going to happen here, Dia.
I mean, I'm really excited to see the leaderboard. Almost as excited, I dare say, as you. But before we get the chance to take a look at it, there's one crucial thing we must do, and that is get Yeso's opinion on the game and find out who our player of it was.
I do this the way I am.
We're gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Excedrin coming out and finishing the night on a high note here with their second win of the night, games 2 and 6 under their belts here. We highlighted it at the top of the show that Excedrin trying to battle to take away that third place spot from Nerf, and with the way they played tonight, they have certainly done that. I'm curious to see how things exactly shook out on the leaderboard in terms of points, but Excedrin looked really good and really consistent tonight, and that's the kind of performance you want to see from them. Let's check out our final player of the game here for tonight. Our friend Kimchi Lee took it last time around, and it's enemy's turn here in game 6. 5 kills and over 1,100 damage. Not as flashy of a game this time around from Excedrin, but still a really clean showing and well executed in those late circles, and that's why they grabbed their second win here tonight. Of course, Intel was the big story earlier, crushing those early games, but Excedrin closes the night on that high note, as I said. We're going to go to a quick break right now as the TOs finish calculating all the scores, but when we come, we're not even, screw a break. You know what? I'm switching it up. We're going right to the casters. Tia, why not? What do you guys think?
We don't do breaks when we got scores like this to break down. That's exactly right, yeah. So that's the kind of hype that I am talking about. And why not? You and I mentioned it earlier. I can't wait to see the Mobile One leaderboard because it tells the story of these games. And I can't wait to see if Excedrin were able to jump up, because they were one of our teams that were lagging ever so slightly behind the rest of the partnered squads, but want to be in that conversation as we near the end of the season.
Yeah, as we're waiting for them to crunch the numbers to find out what our leaderboard is going to look like, man, let me tell you, Storm Point, the newest map here, and a lot of these teams are well versed. I can tell that these teams are going out in a scrimmage. They knew where their god spots were. They knew when they wanted to play these different situations and when it was all about execution. I love what I'm seeing here on Storm Point. I'm still a World's Edge kind of girl, not gonna lie to you. I'm World's Edge all day, every day, but SP, it grew on me a little bit.
You know, yeah, it's gonna take time, right? It's an acquired taste, and it's not just you. A lot of our squads on open night, as we alluded to at the start of the day, did have a little bit of a difficult time adapting, but we saw some really good stuff from a lot of them as well, and I was happy to see AOG getting their time in the sun, finally showing us our Ghost Rampart. It is no surprise to anyone on these Mobile One leaderboards that Team Intel ended up topping the day with 115 points, Vizio coming up right behind them, but Excedrin rightly ended up claiming that third place after what was an excellently played Game 6.
Yeah, Intel's been running house literally all day. Their ultra-aggressive playstyle will put as many kills on the board. Clearly worked out both on World's Edge and on Storm Point. Vizio, slow and steady, wins the race, and Vizio ready to take gunfights for taking things a bit slower than Intel were able to round things out at the number 2 spot. As you mentioned, Excedrin pulling off one hell of a game. Number 6, usurping Razer and Nerf with that big defense, taking the building and holding things down until they stole the win. And we got to take a look at our high performance moment of our Mobile One high performance performance moment of the game. I can't talk.
That's all right. We got it. The Mobile One high performance moment. It absolutely makes sense to see Vizio on your screens taking some incredible height as Fury climbed a tree, only to throw an Arc Star down from it. Some poisoned fruit did fall, and they looked pretty darn good during this as well. I want to watch the tree climb once again. Scissors really claiming a lot of height here, and honestly, you've seen Arc Star coming in from that kind of angle. You didn't expect it, and I don't think a lot of teams have been expecting Vizio to be as good as they are, even after they have been performing so ridiculously well this season. I know that Intel has started to come up, but Vizio's still scary. Congratulations, of course, to Team Intel, though, because with a miraculous finish, they continue to take titles here on our open night, and I can't wait for Pro Night tomorrow.
Yeah, big ups to Intel and big ups to you for being a wonderful co-caster and inviting me along. Like I said, been a while since I've been able to cast some Apex. My first time being able to see this on Storm Point, and it played really, really well. A lot of great people in the back, Yeso hosting, and some amazing people in the chat and competitors as well. It's been amazing being here. It really has been.
Well, let's hear what Yeso has to say to close us out, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
What I have to say is today was a lot of fun. Dia and Wynot, of course, both of you were a big part of that. Hats off to both of y'all on the cast today. It was a lot of fun to listen to both of you. Of course, Intel finishing on top, grabbing another open night victory. They have been really good these last 6 weeks. I keep talking about it, and it's because they keep performing so damn well. So another triple-digit performance here from Intel and another open night victory under their belts. Also do have to mention, if you guys noticed on that Mobile One leaderboard, the top 5 teams, all Series E Pro squads. And I know that's something we haven't seen this season. I don't know if we've ever seen that in Series E. 5 of the 6 squads, the entire top 5 there. Really well played from all of those teams, and even Splash still inside of the top 10 here tonight. So well played from everybody here tonight. And shout out to AOG. I mentioned them at the top of the show. That is the squad that, of course, qualified by competing in the 3v3 arenas tournament at our local esports arenas, and they finished in the top 10. So well done. Hats off to those guys as well. Good to see you out here competing. Hope you come out and play again. That is going to do it for us tonight, folks. Of course, we'll be back again tomorrow with Series E Apex Legends Pro Night. And I do want to mention, if you guys have been watching the last few weeks, of course, Series E Halo Infinite, that season well underway. We have been hosting Halo Infinite Pro Night before Series E Apex Legends over the last few weeks. We are making an adjustment tomorrow. So just so everybody knows, if you are coming in to watch Halo Infinite tomorrow, it will follow the competition here for Series E Apex Legends. So we'll start off everything at 4 p.m. Pacific time with Apex. Right after that, we'll jump into the Halo action. So just that little adjustment for all of you. So make sure you're here at 4 o'clock tomorrow for all of the fun. And of course, if you missed any of the action tonight or anything this week, make sure you're back for series recaps this Friday. My name is Yeso. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Thank you so much for coming to hang out for myself, the entire live broadcast crew, including Push, Connie Kins, Ghost _, our TOs. We got Catalyst out there. Give me a wave, Catalyst. Wave to the camera for the people. Show the people some love, Catalyst. I need a wave. There you go. There he is. There he is. We got Cat back there. Spirit Z's hiding somewhere. Filth is out there. If you guys like any of the tunes on the show, Filthertons with the backwards hat on, represent. So shout out to everybody out there, everybody at Esports Arena. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Get out of here. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Go home. Let's have a good one. Get out of here. Close it out. Come on. We're going home. I'll see you later.